We finally have Brandon Ayuk news. We've been literally going in circles all offseason. We're going to talk about this, but first, let's hop into, in my mind, the best fantasy football tournament on the planet. This is the Flock Community Contest. Underdog hosts these every Monday and Thursday night. This is a $10 buy-in, almost a $50,000 prize pool. Give me 1 second. Need to give Underdog my location. But let's see if we can get in here. We are in if anybody else wants to draft with us. All right, we get pick 2 as well. So it's going to be interesting because Brandon Ayuk is one of those names that we're looking at the 2-3 turn. I wonder how far Deebo Samuel ends up falling and if all of a sudden we potentially have Deebo Samuel at pick 23. But will be interesting. A lot to talk about. I'm a little sad, going to be honest with you. I have been hammering in Sticky Ricky. I think he has an ADP of wide receiver like 73. I've taken him in so many high stakes drafts. I was really hoping that he was going to do something this year. And now it looks like Sticky Ricky is going to be parked behind Brandon Ayuk. It's going to be parked behind Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, McCaffrey. Absolute best. He's the 5th option in this offense. It looks like it was a whole lot of wasted picks. And maybe I should have been taking Demarcus Robinson. Maybe I am stupid. I probably am stupid. But Gulum says, are you dropping Deebo in rankings? A bit. Yeah, like let me go through and show where my rankings were previously. But we are on the clock. I think actually we're just going to go ahead. I don't know. We'll take CeeDee Lamb. But anyway, let me pull this up real quick. So before the news, I had Brandon Ayuk ranked at 32 overall. I had Deebo Samuel ranked at 20th overall. I think Ayuk slides up to pick 24. I think Deebo slides back to pick 23. Deebo stays in the same tier. Ayuk stays in the same tier that he was. But one goes up, one goes down, and then they are just pretty much back to back. Okay. Let's move this over. And yes, I'm not going to forget about Juwan Jennings. Maybe Sticky Ricky is the 6th option in said offense. But after we go Lamb, you have Tyreek, St. Brown, Chase, Jefferson all off the board. Brees Hall goes 7. I'm going to assume that Bijan ends up going at pick 8. Okay. Odin knows best is, would you drop Algier for Jordan Mason? I think Jordan Mason's a very interesting waiver wire pickup because if anything were to happen to CMC, I think he would be viable in fantasy. But if anything were to happen to Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier would win your league. So no, I wouldn't drop Tyler Algier for Jordan Mason. Matthew says Mastiff is waiting on one person. Come fill it. Well, I think maybe we'll get into a $500 draft later this live stream. But first, definitely want to get in our 3 Flock drafts. I am not in the big dog lobby for anybody wondering. I'm getting in the Flock $10 drafts first. And oh yeah, let me put this on the screen just in case anybody's confused of the buy-in amount here. But of course, real quick, if you wanted to get in a draft with us tonight, we're going to be drafting on Underdog. We're going to be getting in the Flock tournaments. Like I said, they have 2 of these every single week. And we're going to be doing this every single night on the live stream until the season starts. So if you want to draft with us, Underdog is best ball. No time commitment at all during the year. That's why it's the best place to get into an extra fantasy football draft. And if you use code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet. Plus, you'll get a special Christian McCaffrey pickup, more than less than half a total yard, and a Travis Kelce special pickup, more than less than half a total yard for week 1 as well. So make sure you take advantage of that. And Raphael wants to max Best Ball Mania tonight. I have 2 Best Ball Mania teams that I can still draft. I'll see how far Best Ball Mania is from filling. Maybe we have to get into Best Ball Mania drafts as well. Maybe this ends up being an extremely long live stream. Best Ball Mania still has 5% to fill. I think we could possibly do our drafts tomorrow night. But let's do it. Let's do it. Deebo ends up going at 18, so no real change with the Deebo price point here. We'll see where Ayuk goes. Waddle goes 20. Okay. HN off the board. So I think we are going to go ahead and take Brandon Ayuk here. I know some people are going to say, okay, we'll go ahead and take Kyren Williams. And Kyren Williams will be ahead of Ayuk in my regular fantasy football rankings. But on Underdog, wide receiver is going to get pushed up. And I think we can get Kyren Williams at pick 26. But no, Kyren ends up going, which is crazy. Eagles, who's in a bunch of drafts with us, always crushes us, goes CMC, Kyren Williams, Isaiah Pacheco with their first 3 picks. So instead, I'm going to pivot over and go with Davante Adams at 25. And obviously, we're hoping that we get running back values making it to us later on. And yes, I am taking Davante Adams over Malik Neighbors. I think both guys dominate targets in very bad offenses. I think both players are probably very talented. But we've seen Davante Adams be elite before. And we were just kind of assuming that it's the case with Malik Neighbors. Okay. So let's see. Metcalf goes 31. Diggs off 32. Steven says, hey, Mace, had my draft last night. Went Barkley, Etienne, Cook, Hurts, Waddle, Najee. It's 1 point per completion. And a half point per carry. Half point per carry, immaculate. Completely forgot that we had talked about that previously. Love getting the top end running backs there. And Najee Harris is the perfect example of someone in the half point per carry format that is just so much more appealing, where Najee Harris will be a smash flex play every single week. Love to see that. And that's in a half point per carry format, everyone. Okay. Now, Josh Allen goes 35. Pittman off the board at 36. I did point this out in the ESPN live stream that we did, but it is kind of crazy to see that if you look at regular like ESPN Yahoo drafts, where it's just college buddies drafting, work buddies drafting, there Michael Pittman Jr. actually goes higher than a lot of receivers that go ahead of him in this draft. Like in those drafts, he goes ahead of Dell, Diggs, Metcalf, Smith, Evans, even like DJ Moore. There he goes as like a mid wide receiver too, which is very surprising to see. Okay. Oh, let's move this down. Say Flowers off the board 39. Jalen Hurts goes 40. Rice goes 42. So we had great Rice news, of course, that sounds like the NFL is not going to be taking any action until the courts actually play out. So, yeah, it may not happen in 2024. So Rice may be seeing a suspension in 2025. Okay. Let's move this over. Mahomes goes 53. Amari off 44. So there are a couple of these other teams that are going with 0 RB builds. Yeah, the team at 10, 4 receivers straight. The team at 6, 3 receivers and a quarterback. The team at 5, 4 receivers straight. Let's see what we decide to do here. We are going to take Travis Kelce. It's always appealing to go with the Lamar Andrews stack. I just think very rarely is Kelce going to make it this far down the draft board. And the running back that I would have wanted here in Josh Jacobs is already gone. So we'll go Kelce. And since Lamar does not make it, I think we're going to pivot here. And I think we take James Cook. Now on Underdog, maybe make the argument to take George Pickens over James Cook, because Pickens all of a sudden is a little more exciting with the fact that Ayuk is for sure not a Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Now McLaurin off 52. The team at 5 continues with the 0 RB and decides to go with Kincaid. The team at 6 continues with their 0 RB build and decides to go with Worthy. We got Zach out here saying, I think your chat may owe me an apology. Okay, let's not go through revisionist history. Let's not change what the history was. You went out, my friend, and you put Ayuk on the trade block. Don't act like you weren't a little nervous. I was the one sending offers for Brandon Ayuk. You were the one who put him on the block. So I'm going to remember it as, oh my gosh, y'all remember when Zach almost panicked? Y'all remember when he was trying to get rid of Ayuk? That's how I remember. this history in the Flock League. That's how I'm building this lore. But the team of 10 decides to continue with the 0 RB build as well. So you have teams 5, 6, and 10. 0 running backs through the first 5 rounds here. Okay. Chris Godwin goes 62. Zach out here going through trying to trade Brandon Ayuk for Devonta Smith yesterday and then trying to run a victory lap on us. You kidding me, my guy? You kidding me? Two Ginger says, how do I use your draft guide, bro? So we have the draft cheat sheet, so you could print that out. You can scratch players off as they go off the board in your draft. Or if you want to use the guide is something that's, you can print it out. It's just hundreds of pages. What I would do instead is I would combine it with the cheat sheet. And if you are considering a player and you're on your computer, hit Control F, search the PDF, pull up that player's name. So if you want to read on Kenneth Walker, you can pull up all the historical comps. You can pull up the bull case, the bear case. You can pull up the statistics he's had over the past 3 years. So yeah, the draft guide, honestly, I would not print it out and take it to your draft. It's just a lot. It'd be very hard to find the player when you're on the clock as well. What I would do instead is I would just go ahead and take your computer, Control F. If you're considering taking a guy, you can read about him, of course. Okay. Now, Brian Thomas off the board at 69. Kyler Murray goes pick 70. So the team after us, more likely than not, will be looking to take a wide receiver. CJ Stroud, not really going to be in play for us when we don't have any of the Houston options. I think we go with Deontay Johnson with the expectation that the team after us ends up having to go like Christian Watson, Hollywood Brown, or Christian Watson, Keon Coleman, or Hollywood Keon, maybe the Mixon Lad. But I think that they probably end up going wide receiver. And that leads us to getting Alvin Kamara here at pick 74, which is exactly what happens. We will go ahead and we will take Kamara here. Okay, let's move this around. I love Flock. Love the name, my friend says. Here's smash the like button for a high stakes draft. Yeah, so if you want us to keep rolling the drafts, if we hit 300 likes on this stream, we are going to get another draft after this. Okay. CJ Stroud goes pick 80. That is to the Stephon Diggs team. Phenomenal value on CJ Stroud there as well. I'd really, really like getting Stroud at pick 80 whenever you can. And full transparency, the next draft that we do is probably not going to be the high stakes draft. We're probably going to get in another Flock $10 draft. Okay. Let's move this around. Addison goes pick 85. Let's see. Steven says, Mace, I literally punted the tight end position, and you got Fant and Taysom. I think Taysom's not a bad option at tight end. I really wish Taysom had the tight end eligibility on Underdog. If he did, I bet you Taysom Hill would be going as a high-end tight end too at this point. Okay. Hopkins off the board at pick 88. We're completely fine seeing wide receivers go. I mean, at this point of our draft, we have Lamb, Ayuk, Adams, Deontay Johnson at wide receiver. We have James Cook, Alvin Kamara at running back. And at tight end, we have Travis Kelce. And let me remind everybody the structure of this Flock tournament on Underdog. So this is a tournament that the highest scoring team out of the 12 teams here will advance to the fantasy football playoffs. There in week 15, you have a 1v1 matchup from somebody else from another draft. If you win that in week 16, you'll have a 1v1 matchup with somebody else that won their week 15. And then if you win that, you'll advance to week 17, which is the fantasy football championship. And there are 100 people in the showdown in week 17. Okay. Let's move this over. Pollard goes 94. I think we're going to the thing is, we for sure can get Dak on the way back around. So what someone smart would do is say, oh, Mason, there's no reason to take Dak Prescott here at pick 95. You for sure would get him at 98, and I'd agree with you. But looking at all these other players on the board, there's nobody else that screams out to me saying like, oh, I need them. So I'm fine just going ahead and taking Dak Prescott because the next guy that we take will probably be pretty far down in ADP anyway, and I'm almost guaranteed to get him at pick 98. So Samuel and Dobbs both go. I'm going to take Javonte Williams. In this league where the highest scoring, there's only one team that advances to the fantasy football playoff tournament, the highest scoring team weeks 1 through 14. I think there you're a little less excited about the Jonathan Brooks upside for the final 3 weeks. And I'm a little more focused in on somebody who can give us points through the regular season. Okay. Joshua Palmer off the board at 99. TJ says, going to enter in my last drafts tonight in the Flock tournament. Love to hear it, my friend. Love to hear it. Okay. Let's move this over. Now, let's see. Raphael says, why not Jaden Daniels with the rushing upside? Couple different reasons. One, we do have some interesting quarterback options later on. Never mind, Brock Purdy does go at 103. I was really hoping we were going to get Purdy at 119. I have drafted a lot of Brock Purdy, and I think that just the signing of Brandon Ayuk does make him even more appealing. I'm just trying to think, like, is there any world where Sticky Ricky gives us 3 usable weeks this season? Like, I'm assuming we need an injury at this point. Like, can we see the Niners go out there and run some 3 wide receiver sets and get Ricky on the field? Seems like his playing style really overlaps with Deebo Samuel, though. Okay. Now, Jordan Love ends up sliding all the way to pick 111. Love in this draft goes after Daniels, after Purdy, and after Caleb. Okay, Lockett off the board, 112. Let's move this over. Okay, so looking at quarterback stacking options that we have here at 119, really the stack's not going to be everything. If we can take a quarterback that will help us advance and be the highest scoring team in the league this week, we really only need the one spike week from Dak Prescott and Lamb in week 17 when we're going up against the 100 other players. So I don't want to cross off any quarterbacks just because we don't have their receiving options. Tua will go off 118. Let's go Jacoby Myers. Let's pair him up with Devontae Adams and play the what-if game. What if the Raiders are better than people expect? And the team after us only has Christian Watson, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Romeo Doubs. So kind of expecting them to take at least a receiver here. So I don't think Myers would make it back to us at 122. Okay. Eagles goes 120, Adonai Mitchell and Gabe Davis. I don't know what we do here. Wide receiver is going to be pretty gross on the way back around. I think we may just take Jerry Jeudy. It is interesting because you could make an argument that this year, Jeudy potentially has the best quarterback play of his entire NFL career, which I don't know if it's true. I think it's a possibility. The main thing that I have with Jeudy is the contract the Browns give him scream that he is going to be an every down player. He is going to have a respectable amount of routes run, a respectable amount of targets. I don't know what the wide receiver is going to be there at the 12-13 turn, even though I have done 1,000 of these drafts. I should have it just completely dialed in at this point, but I'm not that smart. Okay, let's move this over. Scott says, join the big dog with me. I'm sure you're ready for the fish's money to come in and trickle into the pond, my friend. But we are going to do the flock tournaments, and then we will hop in a big dog. After this draft, we'll probably... How about this? After this draft, I'll get in a flock tournament. I'll also enter in the big dog, and we'll do the flock drafts until that big dog fills. Okay. Let's see. After we go Judy, Blake Corum, Jared Goff, Jalen Polk, Dallas Goedert, Mike Williams all off. Interesting to see that team there go Daniels, Lawrence, and Goff. Picks 100, 117, and 124. Okay. Freed says, do you miss San Diego's finest? I could be wrong here. Let me know if I am. But was San Diego's finest Caden? I could be wrong. I may just be making that up. For whatever reason, San Diego's finest, the name Caden rings a bell. Okay, Tyler Algier off the board at 138. Chandler goes 139. So I don't want to say anything until we're on the clock. Definitely know what we want here at 143. But don't know if we will get it. Michael Wilson goes. So I feel very good about our Jerry Jeudy selection. Looking at the running backs versus wide receivers at this portion of the draft. Leggett goes. So at this point, we could go Frymuth and call it a day at tight end, which is exactly what we're going to do. I mean, especially I think when we wait this long for a second quarterback in this structured tournament, I probably end up taking 3. So going Frymuth, allowing us to only have to take 2 tight ends. Hawkinson is less appealing for me in this tournament because only 1 out of 12 teams advance. And there are a couple different running backs I'm okay with at 146. Eagles goes Josh Downs to continue to play catch-up at wide receiver. I mean, now they have 7 receivers, right? So they can pretty much do anything. The Pound says, checking in on vacate to say slap the like. You're taking a vacation the week before the season starts? Are you kidding me? This is the time to ramp up. I know you've been drafting all year, but this is the time. Vacation time is long since past. But let's move this over. We take Ezekiel Elliott 146. Zeke, little less appealing. They say that Rico Dowdle's no longer going to be returning kicks, playing special teams because they see Dowdle having a large role as a rusher. Dalvin Cook comes over, just adds another cook to the kitchen, pun intended. Dalvin's probably not going to have a role. I don't think you need to be too concerned about that. But Zeke is for sure falling in these drafts. So we'll scoop him at 146 if he's going between the running back 3 in Miami and Ray Davis. Okay. Rodgers off the board at pick 151. Dotson goes 152. I actually really like our team so far, specifically for this draft structure. Obviously, we're heavily reliant on Dallas, but I think that we are kind of okay doing so. The secondary options outside of CeeDee Lamb look very gross for the Dallas Cowboys, but they did score the most points in the NFL last year, and sportsbooks are currently projecting them to be a top 10 offense in the NFL again this season with total points scored. Okay, Ken says, Mason, do you think Underdog introduces any more best ball tournaments before Thursday? I would imagine, because Best Ball Mania is about to fill. Obviously, the marathon still needs to fill, but I know for sure there'll be another flock tournament on Monday. There's the new flock tournament tonight. Of course, I have no knowledge. I am just completely guessing, but I would imagine that there's another tournament dropped. Augusta says 300 plus likes. If we hit it, we are hitting that next draft. So I am sure that we've already hit 300 likes. I'm sure we're getting another draft. Okay. Now let's move this over. Raphael says pick 10 not getting a wide receiver through the for the last 7 rounds. Well, pick 10 did go Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Kyle Pitts, Roma Dunze. So 0 running backs through the first 6. And then after that, the hard pivot to Ramadre, Warren, Caleb, Love, Benson, Sharp, Musgrave, and Jordan Mason at 159. Yeah, Mason really is a big-time riser at this point. Only going 2 rounds after Algier. Not saying that it's a bad thing by any means. Okay. Braylon Allen goes 164. Hunter Henry off 165. What are we going to do here? I think we go Baker, just take the raw points, see if it helps us advance. Could possibly go Bucky if he makes it back around to us at 170. And if this was Best Ball Mania, you don't want to take an unstacked Baker because you need the spike weeks in weeks 15, 16 as well. But here in the flock tournament, you don't need to have a crazy ceiling for week 15. You don't need to have a crazy ceiling for week 16. It is just head to head. But if Bucky Irving does make it to us at 170, that will be our 5th running back. If not, we can't go Sticky Ricky. See, I've been taking a ton of Sticky Ricky. He's had an ADP back-to-back with Rashad Bateman. From a dollar spent perspective, he is at the very top for me in dollars invested. Do I regret it? No. I honestly think it was the right call to take the round 1 guy in what projects to be the highest-scoring offense in the NFL. That was a Brandon Ayuk trade away from a very large workload. And tournaments where we're trying to chase the best outcome possible, I'm fine taking that guy ahead of Rashad Bateman. Now, obviously, that Ayuk is locked into being a Niner. Now we do need to reevaluate. Okay. But let's move this down. So we go ahead and we take Bucky Irving at 170. Pair him up with Baker. We need a 5th running back. So now let me show this team off because I really do like this team. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Ayuk, Adams, Deontay Johnson, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy. Tight end, we have Travis Kelce and Pat Freiermuth. Quarterback, we have Dak stacked up with CeeDee Lamb. We also have Ezekiel Elliott, if that matters. Running back, we have James Cook, Alvin Kamara, Javonte Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, and Bucky Irving. So it is interesting. It is interesting. Okay. Now, Bateman does go 177. So even after the Ayuk news, Sticky Ricky still does go ahead of Rashad Bateman. I wonder if that's going to be a trend of what continues. I'm probably done taking him. I already have a ton. You can't fall much further than where we were taking him. But this was pretty much worst case scenario. Okay, K. Dotton off the board, 179. Justice Hill goes. I really don't know from a roster construction perspective what we want to do through the rest of this. I know at minimum we need another quarterback. At minimum we need another wide receiver. But there, after that, I think we could pretty much do anything. Can't go with the fourth quarterback. Can't go with the third tight end. So it'd be, are we taking two more running backs, or are we taking two more receivers, or are we taking one more receiver and one more running back? That's the main question that we have. Don't you give them to us. Don't you give them to us. Connor says, just did my first ever underdog draft, and it was a flock league. Hopefully you had fun. Was it fun? Let me know if you had fun, my friend. I am honestly, like, I'm so excited for the season to happen, but I'm also legitimately, like, sad for these live streams to change, just because I have so much fun in the underdog drafts every night. Where it's still fun talking fantasy football and answering y'all's questions. But I definitely have, to be honest with you, I definitely have more fun doing the underdog drafts than answering questions. Okay. Chase, I'm not going to answer this specifically because you have copied and pasted it over and over again. Do not copy and paste your question. It ruins the chat for everybody else. Okay. After this, we have a couple different options. We can go with the Bryce Young stack with Deontay Johnson, or we can just take the points of Will Levis. If this was a Best Ball Mania draft, I would go for the Deontay Johnson, Bryce Young stack, but with this being just the flock draft where I'm just trying to score the most points I can during the regular season, I think Will Levis probably outscores Bryce Young here. Okay. Cleef Raymond goes 192. So Eagles going with a crazy build here. The hyper fragile running back build was CMC, Kyron Pacheco, Jalen Wright. We assume they only go 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends, but 10 receivers. Here we are either wide receiver or running back. I don't know. I mean, we know at least we need one more receiver. So let's just go ahead and let's take Luke McCaffrey. And then we'll queue up some guys that I am okay with if they were to make it back. Tyler Boyd probably makes sense to pair up with Levis. Roman Wilson, I have drafted a decent amount of Roman, so I guess the trade to Pittsburgh would have hurt my Roman Wilson. Around 18 picks. Mix in an Akers. Actually, no, that's not. It doesn't really matter that Akers hasn't been drafted all offseason in the flock tournament. We'll go DJ Chark. Mix in a Troy Franklin. Roshan. We'll just get one of these guys making it back to us. But let's go ahead. Let's enter into another flock community contest league. We are in. If anybody wants to draft with us, there are 10 spots open in this draft for anybody wanting in. Okay. So we get pick 10. Speaking of pick 10, we probably need to enter in the big dog real quick. So I'm going to enter in the $500 draft as well. That takes forever to fill. So we're just going to be drafting in this one until the $500 draft fills. And then we'll pivot over to that other one. But give me 1 second. We actually have some picks we need to make and some slow drafts right now. Okay. Pick 10 is just such a tough spot because now you just never really have values making it to you. Wait, are slow drafts, do they have an hour timer now? You have to be kidding me. I think they may have an hour timer. But anyway, let me know if you're in this draft with us. Jeremy in this draft with us at pick 4. Kadarius Toney in here at pick 7. I see you, my guy. I see you. Raphael says pick 11 over pick 10. Slows are 1 hour. Dear God. Dear God. What have I gotten myself into? I am just not a smart individual. I'll tell you that much. Not a smart guy. Okay, so you have Brees 6, Bijan 7, Jefferson 8. If I was a pick 9, I would have maybe gotten a little excited thinking, oh, are we going to get Justin Jefferson making to us a pick 10? But yeah, I picked 9. But pick 10, you have no hope. Pick 10, you're just sitting here going, oh, okay, what the hell am I supposed to do? We're going to take Garrett Wilson off the board at 10. Should have some running backs that could potentially make it to us here. And I am entering in the $500 draft right now on my phone. I can obviously pull it up on the computer. Ooh. There's only one spot left in that, so that thing's going to fill fast. That sucker's going to fill. Okay, what are we doing here? Let's go Saquon Barkley. Come on down, old buddy, old pal. Wilson, Barkley start. Shouldn't happen a ton in this tournament based off where the ADPs line up. And we'll figure it out. Okay. Deebo Samuel goes 17. Drake London off 18. It is, I think I could just end up getting absolutely crushed here. In that I have not taken any round 2 Cooper Kupp. Earlier in the offseason when he was a round 3 pick, I was completely fine with the price. I was mixing him in. But in round 2, it is just so damn tough. Let's see. Johnny says, Mike Williams news. Mike Williams is good to go. News I read with Mike Williams today is he's going to be good to go week 1. Which, let me see how much Mike Williams I've drafted. I've been drafting a lot of Malachi Corley now that you can get him around 18. I'm at 12% Mike Williams, 11% Breece Hall, 10% Corley, 8% Rodgers, 6% Garrett Wilson, 3% Conklin, and 2% Braylon Allen. For the love of God, stay healthy, Breece Hall. Stay healthy. Okay. And yeah, Rashee Rice at 25. I would say Rashee Rice at 25 in like a Best Ball Mania draft on Underdog, where people have been drafting all offseason, really bad. In the flock tournament, where this just drops today, so it's not like anybody ever is able to get Rashee Rice in round 7, go for it if you really want to. Sure, I'll take Derrick Henry, but once we take Derrick Henry at 34, we are pretty much locked in to having to take a wide receiver at 39. Kind of have to take a wide receiver in the 4th, which I'd be fine with Higgins, Pittman, Flowers, be fine with any of these guys. If all of them go, then we panicking and we're pivoting. And we are not going with the receiver. And of course, in your regular redraft league, do not panic like this. You do not need to go with the wide receiver here. On Underdog, these wide receivers are going to get pushed up dramatically. Done a couple of these drafts before, so I kind of know what's happening. I'll take T. Higgins here. But let's move this over. And of course, real quick, if you don't know what we're doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is the Flock tournament on Underdog. They have these every Monday and Thursday until the season starts. And if you wanted to draft with us, of course, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet. Plus, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You will get a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. And you will get a Travis Kelce special pick'em more than less than half a total yard as well. So make sure you take advantage of that. Links to the description, comment section, live chat. Okay. Tide says, is it a concern that my first 3 picks have the same bye? Not at all. Your team's going to change so much by the time you actually get to that bye week. Well, maybe you're a little bit underweight during that bye. You're a little bit outgunned by whoever you're playing. Other weeks, you're going to be in, you're just going to be crushing. Okay. Let's see. Lamar goes 47, assuming that's setting up the Andrew stack. I really thought that it would be, once we got to this part of the year, it would be tougher to get the Lamar Andrews pairing. But it is almost seemed like it's easier now than it was at the beginning of the year. Unless I'm wrong. Please let me know if you think I'm wrong, but okay. Shuck says, I received the flock rankings guide will be updated again before the season starts. Yeah, we update it every Sunday. So you should be able to get an update this Sunday. But I also just updated the rankings on flockfantasy.com today. So if you're on flockfantasy.com, you'll see it today as well. The draft guide's harder to update because it's a PDF than just the software we have on the site. We're going to go ahead. We will take Christian Kirk. I mean, this is a good example of me not worrying too much about bye weeks, where our first three receivers in Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, and Christian Kirk have a week 12 bye. Running back, we have Barkley, Derrick Henry, neither with a week 12 bye. I don't think it matters too much, regardless. Kirby says Team 4 is in fact not cooking. We'll check out Team 4. Let's see what's going on with them. But Kyler goes 61. This is the earliest I probably have seen Kyler go all year. And yeah, that team decides to pair up Richardson with Pittman. Ooh, it says crap. Am I in the $500 draft? Did I just auto in that? Ladies and gentlemen, this may be no bueno. The $500 draft has been going on. We have autoed the first two picks. I have no idea who we have. Oh dear God. Let's figure this out. This is a classic no bueno situation. Yes, everybody spam the chat dooms. Let's get the dooms going. This is not a boom. This is for sure a doom. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's get this pulled up. If I can even find this draft. Okay, got it. Let's switch these screens around. Who did I auto pick? Auto picking the first two rounds isn't the worst thing in the world, but. And this is a $500 draft. This is our fifth $500 draft we've streamed this year. Every single time we've had a late pick. Let's see what we get here. Let me move this around. Where are we picking? We get pick 9 yet again, and we start A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, just like the other night. Ooh, I did not even know this thing filled, but we are in it, and it is happening. Yes, Ken Perry literally said, I'm guessing pick 9, because we are always at pick 9, 100% of the freaking time. I don't know how, I don't know why, but Underdog just loves sticking us here. Yes, bird's going to fly, fish going to swim, Mason going to land pick 9. It is what it is. It is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. It's random. Not ideal, but Okay. Oh, Pure Flight says, I love the compilation on YouTube of you getting pick 9. And yeah, that was made like literally 2-3 months ago. You would think like, oh, you get pick 9 a bunch at the beginning of the season. Maybe that changes. Oh, no, it has not changed. Has not changed one bit. Okay. Smith off the board at pick 30. Looking at this draft, there's not much that stands out. Deebo Samuel goes 17. Ayuk off 24. The other flock draft that we were on, we just took Najee Harris at pick 82. Okay, Rice goes 31. I was not going to take Rice here because there were some $500 drafts earlier in the offseason where Rice went in round 7. So fine seeing that happen. Diggs goes. So we just tried this in the flock draft. We just started off Garrett Wilson, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. We'll try it in this one. We'll go A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. And we will see what happens. I am underweight Derrick Henry this year. But can't hurt that much to mix him in. Okay, Michael Pittman Jr. goes 84. But of course, I mean, we've learned our lesson more than once. We understand that once we go Derrick Henry at pick 33, we are really having to lean heavy into wide receiver in round 4. Even if we love Sam Laporta, even if we love Josh Allen in round 4, we really don't get the option. When we go running back in rounds 2 and 3 on Underdog, we're going to fall so far behind at wide receiver, especially in the high stakes drafts, that we kind of have to pivot over and go with the wide receiver in the 4th round, even if we don't like the value. It's like the only way to make the team work. Okay. Pacheco off. It just feels so gross. But yes, we'll take T. Higgins over Josh Allen. It is what it is. We'll target Burrow at pick 81. Wide receivers are going to get very gross very quick. This is why the majority of drafts I don't recommend going running back in rounds 2 and 3, as it puts you in a very awkward spot where you kind of have to do this. But it is what it is. I will remind y'all, this is funny because I did win the Big Dog tournament 2 years ago for the 100,000. And with that team, I went with an anchor wide receiver build. A.J. Brown was my wide receiver 1. So with that team, I was heavily reliant on A.J. Brown to carry us through. And hopefully he can do the same thing this time. We'll see. We'll figure it out together. Okay. Andrews off 47. So that team at 2 probably setting up Lamar at 50. Yeah, teams here not really getting out of line. I mean, this is kind of what you'd expect. Jacobs goes 48. That other draft, we were going to take Chase Brown. We're going to go all in on Cincy. We have Burrow, Chase, Higgins. Yeah, this is just a very standard draft so far. Okay. Kincaid 49. Has there been really any big fall? I mean, I guess Amari's falling a considerable amount. And Pickens is falling too. I don't necessarily know if Pickens should be falling considering the Ayuk news. Seems like Pickens should be rising, if anything. Diggs says Jacobs should be a third rounder at worst. I do have Josh Jacobs ranked ahead of Derrick Henry. But the thing is, with where the ADPs line up, if I were to take Josh Jacobs ahead of Derrick Henry in every single draft, I would do 100 drafts this year with Josh Jacobs, and I'd have 0 drafts with Derrick Henry. And that'd be pretty tough with the volume I'm drafting. So I kind of got to mix it up just a little bit. Okay. Now, Amari off 53. I would have loved this team if we would have got Amari at 57. Jaden Reed goes 54. So if we were to go running back here at 57, in the 6th, we have to go wide receiver. We have no other option. We at least have to get one receiver here at the 5-6 turn. It just comes down to, do we want the receiver in the 5th or do we want the receiver in the 6th? Or potentially, do we want to go wide receiver, wide receiver? All those things are on the table, but like we discussed, we need at least one of the receivers here. Okay, Christian Kirk was the guy that I wanted. I haven't drafted much Christian Kirk either, but Christian Kirk used to go in the middle of the 4th. Now you get him in the 5th. So definitely a much better price than he was earlier in the offseason. Like Christian Kirk used to go ahead of Travis Etienne in these underdog drafts. It was insane. Literally insane. Okay. Ridley goes 58. I definitely have a lot more Calvin Ridley than Christian Kirk in these drafts. Okay. But it's weird that like Hopkins had the massive ADP fall. Ridley had the massive ADP rise. And we got the report that Hopkins is good to go week 1. And then nothing has happened since. So I kind of expected things to go back a little bit. Okay. Rome off 60. Anthony Richardson is a quarterback that used to always go in the 5th. I used to get Rachaad White at the end of the 6th round in these underdog drafts. Like the prices have for sure changed over the past month. I think it's maybe a little bit harder to draft than it was. It used to be able to get some just phenomenal prices. Specifically on these mid-round running backs. Now they're tougher to get for sure. But that's why I'm a little more willing to take like Derrick Henry at the end of the 3rd. Why I'm a little more willing to take Saquon Barkley, Taylor at the beginning of the 2nd. Because it is a little tougher to find running backs now in these underdog drafts. We do get the option if we want to take Rachaad White here. And White versus Godwin, I am going to take Rachaad White. Super inefficient last year, which I know a lot of people want to point out. But the thing with White is he did have a considerable amount of target volume, which should be sticky going into this next season. They only brought in Bucky Irving. So Rachaad White, I've drafted a lot of him round 6. Probably going to keep doing so, to be honest with you. Okay. So now we have Taylor, Henry, White at running back. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk. So a very interesting team. A very interesting team. Okay. JSN off 67. JSN has been a riser. I'm not the biggest Jackson Smith and Jigba fan. Okay. Godwin goes. I would definitely rather have Godwin over JSN. FSC says, I'll be good to hop on for the next one if you're keen. I wish we could have got some practice in for the stream setup, but we can try. Let's try it, my guy. We will try to bring Danny on for the next draft. Please be a little bit patient if it's tough. Danny says, catching my bearings after a little nap. It is 9:43 where you're at. Aren't you on Eastern time? Taking a nap and then waking up after 9 p.m. is crazy business. That is nuts. Troy says, thoughts on Noah Brown signing with Washington? I don't really think it has an impact. Like, this is a question that I wanted to ask for, like, because I heard, like, once Noah Brown got cut, I know people were thinking he was going to go to Pittsburgh. People were speculating Washington, and we're acting like it was a big deal. And this is something that I just am not remembering someone, so please let me know. Has there been an instance over the past 5 years where a wide receiver got cut and didn't make the 53 and then went and made a significant difference on another team? Has there been that difference? Like over the past 5 years, please let me know. I'm just kind of operating on the assumption that Noah Brown's not going to do anything, and I'm not worried about him. Okay. So Christian Watson goes 75. CJ Stroud off 76. I think this is one of the very few tournaments, since it is a smaller stakes one where you don't need just crazy spike weeks in weeks 15, 16, and 17, that I think you could go with an unstacked Stroud if you really wanted. Obviously, we don't even get the option to think about it here at 81, but still. Okay. Ryan says, drop Pierre Strong for Braylon Allen. Yes, I'd way rather have Braylon Allen than Pierre Strong. Okay. Leo Baldy says, Isaiah Hodgins did for the Giants, cut from the Bills. I think that's a good call. I don't know if he was viable. I guess he would have been viable in underdog drafts. In your regular redraft league, probably not. But we're definitely going to go wide receiver here because the wide receivers that'll be available to us in round 8 probably won't be super appealing, especially if we are wanting to go in the direction of Joe Burrow in round 8 to pair up with T. Higgins, which we probably do. So Ladd McConkey goes. We will just take another guy that we haven't drafted much this year. We will take Hollywood Brown. Pair him up with Christian Kirk as the guys we've been against all offseason, but definitely a very different price tag here, getting him at 81. And I like the ADP value in comparison to a lot of other teams with Hollywood that took him at the 4 or 5 turn previously. Okay. Let's move this over. Najee Harris goes 82. Swift goes 83. We're pretty much just keeping our eyes on Burrow here. So I don't necessarily think we need to stress about anything in particular. Danny says, just realized my feed was 50 seconds behind. Well, let's make sure that doesn't happen when we get in. Here's what we're going to try to do. I'm going to try to set up a Discord call with Danny. Danny, I think we're going to try to do this through Discord because I've already started this stream on OBS. So I can't send you a StreamYard link or anything. I'm going to try setting up a call with you through Discord, seeing if I can capture the Discord audio. Pull that over and we'll see. This will be a fun live stream if we can get Danny on here. This will be a fun, long live stream. Okay. Let's see. Pollard off 86. So I think we will just go ahead. We will take Joe Burrow here. If you are looking at Jameson Williams, I'm not a big Jameson guy. I stand by. I think maybe he can be a decent real-life receiver, but I don't necessarily know if he'll ever make that difference from a fantasy football perspective. And Danny, if we get you on, maybe we can do another big dog. So here's what I have. I have one more entry in the Flock tournament. I have 2 more entries in Best Ball Mania I can do. And then obviously I'm not close to maxing the big dog, so I don't know if it's possible to max the big dog. Unsafe Chris says, Yo, Mason, I used the promo code FLOCK last week, but the special pick'ems haven't popped up. Wonder why that is. I have no idea. Can anybody let me know in the live chat if you've used code FLOCK on Underdog? Do you have access to the Travis Kelce special pick'em more than less than half a total yard and the Christian McCaffrey special pick'em more than less than half a total yard? Because I have an Underdog account that has used promo code FLOCK, and those are both sitting in my lobby right now. So please let me know. Hanaj does. T. Jameson does. Derek is both. Ian is both. Yes. Firestarter says yes. Firestar, happy to see. I saw that you were in the draft with us previously. T. Jameson says it's in the birthday gift icon. So if you're looking for it there. Okay. But yeah, and if you are having an issue, I just confirm that you use code FLOCK. So the Travis Kelce special pick'em is available site-wide for everybody. The Christian McCaffrey special pick'em is a FLOCK exclusive. So you are only going to get that if you use code FLOCK. If you didn't use code FLOCK, it's not going to show up for you. Okay. Now Brock Bowers off the board at pick 94. Caesar has it and says he used code FLOCK years ago. And yeah, that is another thing. So the Christian McCaffrey special pick'em will be there for you regardless of if you use code FLOCK today, tomorrow, or 3 years ago. You're going to have the McCaffrey pick'em. Okay. Let's move this over. Javonte goes 95. And of course, if you wanted those special pick'ems like McCaffrey more than less than half a total yard, Travis Kelce more than less than half a total yard, if you want to get in a FLOCK tournament with us on Underdog, all of that is the link in the description, comment section, live chat. Use code FLOCK and you'll get those pick'ems. You'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get my draft guide, rankings, ADP consensus cheat sheet. You'll get it all. And yes, Underdog does have a mobile app. I think that's what most people use. Obviously, I use the computer when we're streaming. And I use the computer while I'm working, but I should probably be on Underdog a little less when I'm working and working a little bit more when I'm working. Okay, Shakir goes pick 97. Samuel goes 98. Chase Brown, this is like looking at both the Cincinnati guys and the Dallas Cowboys guys. In high stakes drafts, Chase Brown goes well ahead of Zach Moss. In high stakes drafts, Rico Dowdle goes well ahead of Ezekiel Elliott, and it is flipped in regular fantasy football drafts. Young Krelo says, Mason, what are you doing your top 50 overall rankings? I think I have my top 200 rankings updated on flockfantasy.com. And my top 70 rankings actually drop in a video tomorrow. Okay. Evan says, anybody watch Rings of Power already? I'm assuming that has something to do with Lord of the Rings. I have never seen Lord of the Rings, but since I've never seen it, I did start reading the book. So I'm about halfway through the first book, which I'll read a little bit more of tonight. Okay. Jordan Love off the board 102. Romeo Dobbs goes 103. I know who I want here at 105. We'll see if we get him. The team in front of us is set up in a way where they could pretty much do anything. They go Palmer. We're going to get David Njoku as our tight end here. I think David Njoku outscores the wide receivers going here. I think he outscores Wicks. I think he outscores Shaheed. So I'm completely fine taking David Njoku with where he's going at pick 105. I really do like it. Okay. Logic says greatest movies of all time. The book so far isn't that good. So one of my guys, shout out Zach. There's no way he sees this, but my Underdog Connect, he hooked me up with some recommendations called the Mistborn trilogy. I don't know if anybody's read that, but I read the Mistborn trilogy earlier this offseason. And it was legitimately, it was so awesome. I loved it. I didn't watch any TV or any movies like all off season. And my girlfriend definitely didn't like it because I would just get done with work and be so excited to go read. But this Lord of the Rings book isn't like that so far. I'm like halfway through, and it is what it is. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Shaheed goes 106. Caleb Williams goes 107. Dak goes 108. Probably would have taken an unstacked Dak Prescott because this is a smaller field tournament if he would have made it to us. Let's move this over. Lawrence goes 110. So you have a little run on quarterbacks there at the turn. Right now we have Burrow at quarterback, running back Taylor, Henry, White, wide receiver A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk, Hollywood Brown, tight end David Njoku. Okay, Brian Robinson or Zach Moss. I'm going to go Moss. I'm going to go all in on this Cincy offense. I know people are way more excited about Chase Brown than they are Zach Moss. My thought process is I don't necessarily think either running back's that good. I do think that it's kind of an open competition for whoever can get the job. I think one of these guys could be a great value in fantasy football because how good this offense should be. But we've already bet on Burrow being healthy. We've already bet on this being a great Bengals offense by taking Burrow and Higgins. So might as well double down on set bet with Zach Moss. I see people crapping on team 3. That's BP in this draft for everybody. BP goes Tyreek, Kupp, Adams, Mahomes, Worthy, Montgomery, Watson. The only pick that I really don't like there for BP is Brock Bowers. If I'm there, I probably go with a running back at 94. I think you really need an RB. It'd be different if pick 94 was a great value. Like maybe if Jake Ferguson fell there, then sure, I would go ahead and I'd pull the trigger. But Bowers will also fall to around 9 a ton. Danny says, even as a Brown stan, Moss is a solid pick. And yeah, that's what I'm willing to say, right? I don't necessarily I don't have a team here between Brown or Moss, but I could very easily just buy the fact that they are great values based off the opportunity that is there in their backfield. BP says, who's talking crap? I saw some people in the chat talking crap. Juan is talking crap about team 3 here. Dig Nomad was talking crap on BP. BP taking shots says, Juan Perez, how much did he profit last season? It's me when people tell me that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, I have won more money in fantasy football than 99% of people watching. My lifetime winnings are higher than, there's probably, I can count on one hand the amount of people that I know that have won more money than me in fantasy football. But anyway, I like the team BP. The only pick I don't like is Bowers. Okay. Danny says, you hear the MM on Daddle. Looks like the Ladster got quite the steal in the flock league. Yeah, I definitely see Dowdle rise, and I definitely see Ezekiel Elliott falling, my guy. Dowdle goes pick 109 in this draft. Let's see how far Zeke falls. Tresner says, everyone gets lucky once, Mason. Yeah, that is true. I got lucky winning one tournament. I got lucky winning 2 tournaments. I got lucky getting 16th place in Best Ball Mania. I got lucky advancing like 25% of my teams in Best Ball. Yeah. The arguably greatest drafting season of all time from a large sample perspective was luck. This is going to be the Kermit meme. That's the Kermit meme there for anybody. Okay. Now, Jalen Polt goes 121. Danny says, I heard a loud Italian in an orange banana said that in the flock league vlog. I heard that as well. I saw somebody in a YouTube short that I posted of you, Danny, today. Somebody said, out of all the quote unquote experts, this guy has the worst takes. It's like, ooh. I was gonna send that in the flock league chat, but I saw you sent the Mexican OT thing. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna pile on too much here. Okay. Let's move this over. J.K. Dobbins goes 124. Dobbins with an ADP of 142. That team really just going out there and getting their guy. Goddard goes 126. Goff 127. Obviously, we don't have Waddle. We don't have Tyreek. So Tua's not really exciting for us here. I think we need at least one wide receiver at the 11-12 turn. I see the guy that I want. I bet we get him. We'll see what Beast Mode does. They go Brandon Cooks. So I'm actually going to take Mike Williams now that we have confirmation that Mike Williams will be good to go week 1. But yeah, Gabe Davis goes immediately after. So if you're looking at what will be available to us there in the 12th, I definitely think that they're at 129, whether you want Gabe Davis, whether you want Mike Williams, it is kind of up to you. But I do think that we kind of need to go with the receiver for this team and what the board looks like. Okay. Let's move this over. So wide receiver, we have AJ Brown, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk, Hollywood Brown, Mike Williams. Running back, we have Taylor, Henry, White, Zach Moss. Quarterback, we have Burrow stacked with Higgins. We also have Moss, of course. And tight end, we have David Njoku. So I like the team. I think it is a very well-balanced squad. Michael Wilson off 131. That is probably the most expensive I've seen Michael Wilson all year. Or right up there about the most expensive I've seen him. Okay. Zeke Elliott goes 133, so that team locks up Dowdle and Zeke. Doesn't cost a lot for them to do so. I mean, they're really just spending pick 109 and 133. Gosh, my dog's been going nuts lately. She's just hanging out in the office with me for every single stream since the girlfriend's gone. And she just cannot sit still. Okay, what do we want to do here? Since this is a smaller field contest, I'm not really just focused in on trying to optimize upside for weeks 15, 16, 17. So instead of Chubb, I think we can go ahead. I think we can take Trey Benson here at 136. You look at the wide receivers that are available. The next best guys, Josh Downs. I don't think Dalton Schultz does much for this team. I probably want to take 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends anyway. So we're just going to take Trey Benson, be done drafting running backs. Benson will be our 5th RB here. And I did also take Trey Benson in the Flock League as well. Okay, this dog's about to get kicked out. You need to calm down, bro. Okay, let's move this over. And of course, once we take Trey Benson, what we're really hoping for is we are hoping that we just get a couple of running backs going off. We're hoping we have running backs going. Okay. Now, Herbert, 137. Chandler, Jaleel, both go. So Jaleel is rising, at least he is in this draft, based off the Samaje Perine news. Or at least that's what I'd imagine he is moving up. Okay. Chuba Hubbard goes 141. Jalen Wright, 142. Good. Let's keep these running backs going. Let's keep these RBs off. Danny says, Benson was my favorite pick of yours. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I really wanted to get the deal done with Ayuk if Zach just wasn't playing hardball yesterday, mainly just because I wanted to be able to make a video saying I got the first trade done in the Flock League. Danny, let's get you on here and let's work out a Nico Collins trade. Who did you take after me in the Flock draft? You took Waddle. Not as interested. Danny says we had a deal and he got cold feet. Well, come on. Expose Zach. Let's hear what the deal was that he backed out of. And then let's work on something and let's get a deal done. I'm going to try calling you right now. pull up Discord whenever you can. Set up the mic. Make sure you're good to go. And I will... I'm not going to pull you on the stream immediately just because I'm going to be trying to play around with it. Okay. So if I'm not talking to you on Discord, understand why. Okay. Danny. Okay. Let's see. Damari Douglas off the board. Like I said, smaller field contest. I think we can potentially take an unstacked quarterback here, even if it's not our plan A. But we cannot take any more running backs. We're done drafting running backs. So the players that are available to us, we have Cousins, Stafford, Musgrave, Thielen, Rodgers, Dotson. Okay, Braylon Allen goes 151. I'm going to piss someone off here. I want to be very clear. I would not do this in Best Ball Mania. I would not do this in any large field contest on Underdog. But I think for the raw amount of points that we would get if we were to take Cousins, he could help us advance, and then maybe we get the Burrow spike weeks when we need him in the playoff stretch. We'll take Cousins for the raw amount of points. And I don't think Danny's joining our call with us. Danny, let me know when you can join. Okay. Let's move this over. And I see people in the chat complaining that there are no super chats. I'm answering all questions. We're building out everything through flockfantasy.com. So if you have a trade question, if you have a start set question, if you have a roster, if you want a roster breakdown, you can do that all on flockfantasy.com. And yeah, no, super chats are not even, the super chats will never be turned on again, or most likely not. If I'm about to get evicted or something happens, then, oh, okay, maybe super chats come back on. But for the time being, the plan is everything's through flockfantasy.com from here on out. But Danny is calling. Let's see if he's in here. I don't see his camera up. Danny, is your camera on? Let me know if your camera's on here. Okay. Now, all right, I see you. I see you. Looking good as ever. Danny cute as a button on the other screen. Let's see if I can figure out how to get him on here. Okay, y'all are going to have to bear with me on this. Okay. Bucky Irving goes 157. Here, like I said, we cannot take another running back. We are just quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. Rodgers would pair up with Williams for us, but at the same time, we would then have 3 QBs sharing the week 12 bye. Probably not ideal. So I imagine this team may go Rodgers. They have Wilson. They go Thielen. So I'm going to get another unstacked quarterback here just to get the raw points. Smaller field contest. You don't need the crazy spikes in weeks 15 and 16 or 17. So I'm fine getting the points. We have the Burrow stack, and hopefully these other guys just help us advance. But like I said, bear with me. We're going to be bringing in Danny here. So this may be a little bit clunky for everything. But let's add element. Let's go window capture, Discord. Ooh, I see him in here. I see him in here. Like I said, bear with me. Bear with me. Perfect. Here we go. Let's get this sizing right here. Danny's a slightly smaller guy than I am, so we're for sure going to have him slightly smaller on the screen. No, I'm joking. We're good. I just need to find a way to link these two things. Can y'all hear Danny? Please let me know. Can you hear him? Okay, people say in the chat now. All right. I just got to do one other thing. Mac OS audio capture. Discord audio. Yeah, yes, sir. I got you. They just need to.
Bet.
I think they can probably hear you now. Can y'all hear Danny?
Perfect. Let's get it. We're ready.
Let me know if Danny's too loud, too quiet. Danny's known for being a really quiet guy, not super loud, but
it's not like the Italian genes just carry over. If you guys watch the Flock League vlog, I'm probably the only one that was yapping every single pick I made.
My favorite comment in the entire vlog was just random pick being made, and then they hit enter, and it was like, Danny, oh no. It's like any random pick.
The Nico Collins edit that Thomas got in may have been the best thing I've ever seen. Because I'm just like, I'm licking my lips. Nico Collins is on the board. And then you just go up and take him. And you hear me in the vlog just go, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah. Here, let me see if I can attach us together.
Yes, sir.
Let's hit.
Somebody called me bad take guy in the YouTube fucking chat.
So I'm telling you, the super chats.
Oh, man. That's jokes.
They were, okay, how do I group us together? Group selected items. God dang. Oh, no, crap. I missed it. I was going to say, I'm good at this.
By the way, I saw that vlog is almost 100K views right now, eh?
I know, it's nuts. Well, hey, my guy, look at this. Look at how much of a computer whiz I am.
You cooked, bro. Look at us go.
Perfect. Well,
look at us. Who would have thought?
You can help me land the boat. I will say this is probably the best team ever assembled here. This is a big dog team. Let's view the squad. We got Burrow, Cousins, Stafford. We don't have stacks for Cousins, Stafford. It's smaller field contest. I don't think we need them. We have Burrow stacked up with Higgins. We have Moss here. Running back, we have Taylor, Henry, White, Moss, Benson. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Higgins, Kirk, Hollywood, Mike Williams. Tight end, we have.
Yeah. I mean, like the only advice, just get some more numbers at receiver and you're chilling.
For sure.
You're cooking.
For Best Ball Mania, I think we'd be getting crushed just because there's no way we'd have enough wide receiver firepower. But here.
Yeah. Small scale.
Yeah, possibly we can get by with it.
I mean, speaking of big dog, we got some fierce teams going in that shared big dog. We're in the slow draft one.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we're cooking.
Hey, I got Lamb at pick 5. Here, who do you want with this pick?
This upcoming pick? I mean, if we're just going with wide receiver, you do have Burrow. I think Burton's probably just going to be the play here, right?
All right, let's take him. We are all in stacking off. I've taken a ridiculous amount of Sticky Ricky just because he's going like back-to-back with Bateman. I was like, oh, what if you end up getting the Ayuk trade and he's like in the best offense in the NFL and he's around one pick? But that's not looking good right now.
I don't think the thesis is wrong either. Like, obviously, in the 15th, 16th round, it looks less likely. I mean, it's unlikely at this point, of course, because Brandon Ayuk just signed his contract extension. Like, it's not like they're just going to trade Debo now. But the thesis was always he would be an implied play if one of Debo, Ayuk were to miss some time. Maybe even George Kittle were to miss some time, go to more 3 wide receiver sets. And that still exists, even if it's more unlikely to happen in the intermediate, right? Because obviously Brandon Ayuk's going to be on the team. But I mean, still, for the 15th, 16th round, you're still getting an implied play in the best offense in the league.
If he makes it to us at 184, do we take him?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You're getting a little bit of a slide there, too. Feel good.
Otten's been so bad, like, from an efficiency perspective, but I find myself taking him a bunch just because, like, out of these other tight ends.
You sound like Corey.
He takes a bunch of Otten?
Oh, God. Like, I understand, like, at this range when he slips, but for me, it's like, am I taking Cade Otton or Ben Sinnott when I'm on the clock, especially in a best ball type of situation where we want that type of ceiling at the position?
Yeah.
I'd be taking freaking Ben Sinnott every single time. But, I mean, obviously you don't get that choice because people are starting to realize that Ben Sinnott may just be very well a good tight end prospect in a good situation because I was grabbing him when he was in the 17th, 18th round, and people are starting to realize with the John Dotson deal that maybe Ben Sinnott could actually end up being the number 2 on this team.
Well, my guy, we just had to take Sticky Ricky, and I'm
I love
telling
it.
you right now, he is my most drafted. I mean, not most drafted from a percentage standpoint, from a dollars spent perspective, he is number 1 for me at wide receiver. And I just took him in a $500 draft. So he's like by far and away my most invested into player this year, which just I would have never guessed in a million years. I didn't even like him as a prospect.
I mean, it just sounds like, week 16, week 17 when he's paying off, you're going to be referring to Slicky Ricky quite often in the live streams, eh?
Oh, for sure. If he does anything this year, I'll get a jersey. I mean, I pretty much, if I get one big spike week and I get 3 usable weeks, I'm fine at this price tag. I have Quentin Johnston in 14% of drafts at this cost.
At least you got a couple drafts to dial that down, eh?
Well, my thought process is like, yeah, the guy's a bum, but Demarcus Robinson's been a bum his entire NFL career. You know what I mean? And he's playing behind Kupp and Puka. Like, why is it bad to go Johnston behind these guys like Demarcus Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, like, I will say at this current opportunity cost, I don't think it's a terrible play. It's just like when Corey tries to dunk on me because I said Jalen Tolbert was a fine best ball stab a couple months ago, and now his ADP is 4 rounds, 5 rounds, even heavier. Like, I've seen him go in the 13th, 14th round of these slow drafts now, and I'm just like, hey, maybe we should have taken a little more of him when he was a 17th, 18th rounder.
For sure. And I remember we made the video on flockfantasy.com going through, and I mentioned too, I was like, oh, do I want to be taking Jalen Tolbert round 17? And now in this draft, Jalen Tolbert goes 154,
I'm kind of a Nostradamus like that. When I project it just ends up materializing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have nailed these calls, really.
I mean, I like, it feels weird because, like, obviously, like, I don't know what it is, but this year I feel so much more conviction than even last year's. Like last year, for example, obviously you have your conviction because we are doing this rankings. We are doing this for a living. You will find players you like and dislike, but like this year in particularly, it like almost feels like I'm just in a flow state. You know what I mean? Like I know what's going on.
I feel the exact
like
opposite.
Nico Collins 25% when he was going at the late second. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I guess in the early second.
You crushed that. You saved me with that too. You saved me. We made that video on the site, and I told you right away too. I was like, okay, you convinced me, and then I started bumping up Collins a bunch. Well, we'll see if you save me or we'll see if you curse me. I don't know yet. But
hopefully the YouTube shorts and TikTok comments can come back, You know
what's gonna be brutal with all the shorts and stuff that we made is YouTube shorts, they get pushed a ton like 3-4 months out. Like they don't really get pushed initially. All these are gonna be getting recommended in October when like Justin Jefferson's the wide receiver 4 and Garrett Wilson's the wide receiver 18, and people are seeing Corey say to take him flipped, and people are just going to be cooking us. Okay.
Well, it was like the inverse too, because going into last year in college football, like before everybody was on Trey Benson, Corey made a short that was like Trey Benson's my RB1. And then everybody found it going into the draft this year. Like, oh, wow, this guy projected that last year. Good shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so weird how the algo works. But yeah, like you said, because I have, such staunch takes about something like the trusted vets, like the Derrick Henry take, the Mark Andrews take. I mean, like me talking about Nico Collins, like they are very like one side or the other type of situation. So people will find that quick. They're either going to call me a genius or they're going to call me the idiot Italian in the bandana. Cause that's the reference I always get. People love to just call me a certain race. Like obviously if you're going to say I'm an Italian rambler, that's one thing. But when people are calling me Mexican OT in the chat, that's when I'm like, what is going on here?
That's really funny. But here we go Parkinson. We have Stafford, so we can at least make an excuse. I'm cool going 3 tight ends here. Obviously, we're heavily relying on like Hollywood, Mike Williams, one of these guys doing something. But
you get a nice little Whittington on the way back.
I think I'm going 3rd tight end. Be honest.
Oh, fair.
Go tight end 105, tight end 201. I'm probably just going a 3rd guy with a small contest.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for sure.
Would you rather have Dulcich, Kraft, Knox, any guys?
I mean, you just said 2 of my favorites. Like between Dulcich and Kraft, what's the other 2 in your tight end core, just so I can keep a reference here?
David Njoku and Parkinson.
Knowing that you have some stability early on, I think I shoot for the upside of Kraft in the offense season.
Okay, let's do it.
But I will say, like, Dulcich is a guy that almost feels like a cheap early production play because people are still on the fact that, oh, the hamstring injury, oh, like, he hasn't looked good in training camp. Like, this guy will be the starting tight end for the Broncos. So the fact that he's still only an 18th round pick, he was a guy just 2 years ago in the dynasty space we were talking about as a guy that was a potentially top 10 tight end in dynasty.
I know people used to be pumped. Here, let's get in another draft. We are going to get in the Flock Community 9 draft. This is a 3 max. So this is the last team I can draft here. Well, let's
see it.
Get in here. The structure for this tournament, Danny, is so it's 1 out of 12 advanced through the regular season. Then after that, week 15, it's a 1v1 matchup. Week 16 is a 1v1 matchup. And then week 17 is a 100-player final.
Jeez.
So
okay, so like there's a lot more to it, just like getting to the final then, like in terms of structure.
Yeah, so essentially weeks 15 and 6, because the thing about like Best Ball Mania is you need to have a crazy week 15, you need to have a crazy week 16, and a crazy week 17. You know.
Yeah, you need to hit the nuts in week 17.
Yeah, but you also need to like have a massive spike in the 2 weeks leading up to it. Here, you could have a dud week 16, and the other team you go up against also is garbage. So it's like if you advance to the playoffs, you're just kind of focusing on week 17. Where Best Ball Mania, like weeks 15 and 16 are going to be super hard to advance as well.
Oh, chat's letting you know. Apparently, you got your favorite pick in the draft.
Yes, I know. Freaking pick 9 out always at pick 9. Hey. Jared right behind us at 10. Kadarius Toney right in front of us at 8. Dan in here with us at 2. Thank you for drafting with us. But this is brutal.
Kadarius Toney's in here. Shout out.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney's out here every night. It's especially now that he's not with the Chiefs anymore. He has some free time. He's been really hanging out with us. How funny would it be? This is just a side note for everybody. If that was like, and Kadarius Toney's been in like the live stream for years. It'd be hilarious if that was like the real Kadarius Toney. You know.
I mean, you remember his feud with fantasy football people like 2 years ago?
I don't apparently remember. What was it?
I'm pretty sure it was with Akash, but basically, Kadarius Toney like DM'd him that he was just like stupid as fuck, and that Kadarius Toney's gonna go off that year or something because Akash put something negative against Kadarius Toney on the timeline or some bullshit. Kadarius Toney actually like took it and DM'd him, and I'm like, holy shit, like. I mean, hilarious. I guess Akash was just right, you know. Shout out Akash.
Here are you going any other way than AJ Brown here at 9?
I mean, I have Garrett Wilson ranked as my 9, but also him and AJ Brown are so close to the point where if you're not a Garrett Wilson guy, like I'm fine capitulating there.
Yeah, I'm going AJ. I can't believe you have like my thing with AJ Brown is just such a safe. He's literally had 3 straight years with 2.7 or more yards per route run.
No, he's legitimately a superstar talent. And I mean, we actually went through it. So if you guys haven't actually been following us, we actually posted the video with
real quick. Sorry, I just assumed everybody here knew Danny. Danny's from the Fantasy Stock Exchange, if y'all don't know.
Yes, sir. I mean, they would have saw me in the live chat as well, you know, talking back and forth with them. But appreciate that. We actually did post the video that we recorded in Texas where me, you, and Corey actually went on, talked about each other's rankings, talked about the disagreements. And I mean, that was the main point for me is you guys were a little bit higher on the Eagles' potential passing offense than I am. I think A.J. Brown is a certified stud, and me having Garrett Wilson over him is more so to do with I am all in on Garrett Wilson than it is an indictment on A.J. Brown. Because the way I look at it with Garrett Wilson, I think his upside is quite literally like prime Devontae Adams. I think he could be this year's CeeDee Lamb. And I don't think A.J. Brown, in terms of the passing volume, can really reach that level.
That's really interesting. I'm underweight Wilson in these drafts so far. Here, real quick, any massive preference that you have here? This is the range where I don't know. So you just pick whoever you want. Who do you want?
I mean, if you want to get unique, I don't mind Achane. We also could go with Barkley because we have Philadelphia correlation and get Hurts later. I mean, I'm down for either.
We'll just go Barkley real quick. But
let's do it.
I know I'm bringing this way back. I've been trying to say this though. But when you were saying that you feel like you have stronger conviction this year, I'm like the exact opposite. I think I don't know if it's because I whiffed so hard on Puka. I whiffed so hard on Kyron Williams last year, where not only did I just not think about him or not pick him up, I adamantly said they're not happening. You know what I mean? And then they turned out to be the 2 league winners. That it is scarred me, especially early rounds, I'm fine. Middle rounds, I think I'm fine. Like I have my conviction there. But once we get to the later rounds, like rounds 16, 17, 18,
Oh,
I have
when I
no
say
idea what's going on.
conviction, that's when I say conviction, that is like mostly the top 10 or so rounds. Like
Yeah.
I still think like once you get round 11, round 12 on, it's all about taking profiles that you like, taking some combinations. Like for example, I do a lot of hero or zero running back builds. So typically speaking in that range, like I'm balancing upside running back profiles like Jonathan Brooks with early season projections like Rico Dowdle. So it's really just being able to complement the rest of your team that I've noted this year. But I mean, it's still going to look bad where, I had to take my safe running back, so I took Rico Dowdle, and Trey Benson ends up being the RB3 in fantasy week 7 on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's definitely a decision you have to make. I will say, once you get to the later rounds, it's all about balancing the portfolio, I would say.
Real quick.
By the way, sorry, are we on the clock?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Do you want to get a trade going? See if we can work something out.
Yeah, we could talk about it in a second. I was actually going to bring up, because you mentioned Kyron and Puka, people being a little bit off of them. I actually have a trade listed here. So September 21st, 2023, Dynasty League that we have with our subscribers. So I believe we did it with the Tone Setter tier on Patreon back in the day. But this is what the deal ended up being. I traded away Jordan Addison and a 2024 second, I believe ended up being, I won the championship, so that would have been the 212. I ended up getting Jerome Ford, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua. So I have record of that right here.
That is what's so funny is when did you do that trade? Like the week 2 or week 1?
Yeah, literally like week 2 or going into week 3 pretty much.
If you would have offered me like right at the very beginning of the season, Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams for like Jordan Addison in a second, knowing myself, I probably would have gone Addison. Like I just whiffed on them so hard you can't even imagine. But real quick, who are you wanting here at 33? And real quick, this is a tournament that just dropped today, so previous ADPs don't matter to this.
For me, it would be between whichever running back you like between Pacheco or ETN. Because we are at the turn here, we could potentially play the ADP game, grab a guy like Rasheed Rice, and then see which running back falls. But if you want to take a running back here, I would say Pacheco or ETN.
Okay, I just took Pacheco immediately. We only have 20 seconds on these timers.
Oh, so right, yeah, fast. Not 30.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, we're in the sweaty room, you know?
For sure. And then as soon as we go Pacheco, are you in agreement? Like when we have Barkley, Pacheco, we have to go wide receiver in round 4?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's why we're kind of in a position right now where, I mean, it's kind of tough. I would say T. Higgins would probably be the way we would get away from here, but it is kind of tough taking the running back first, knowing that the wide receivers are a little bit more bleak. I'd be cool with, like, the thing with George Pickens is he was falling to the 5th with the potential rumors that Brandon Ayuk would be going to the Steelers. I'm perfectly okay with mid-4th round George Pickens, especially in a best ball, knowing that Brandon Ayuk isn't on the Steelers.
Do you prefer Pickens over any of Pittman, Flowers, Higgins?
Higgins or wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Do you prefer Pickens over Higgins?
I would take Higgins, but if Higgins were to go off the board there, I would have made a vote for Pickens. Sorry,
I'm good.
Let me clarify.
Higgins. I've drafted a lot of Higgins this year, to be honest.
Yeah,
like in round 4, I think Higgins is my most drafted guy. It seemed like because Higgins was going like mid round 4, and there was some uncertainty at least right when Best Ball Mania opened. If there was any shot, he was gonna like hold out to the franchise tag or get shipped to Carolina, you know. So I was a little nervous, but as soon as like we got confirmation, no, he's a Bengal this year, he's playing the season. I'm like, okay, he's with Burrow, I'm going to go in.
Yeah, but it's a very easy click in round 4.
Let's see if we can get a deal going, my guy. Let's pull
hear it.
This trade.
The issue is I heard you're a little lower on Waddle right now, which is gonna hurt the potential deal negotiation. Sorry.
The issue with pivoting off of Nico to Waddle is, I mean, maybe we can try. Let's try. Let me see if I can come up with something.
I mean, I also sent you a spicy one last night on the stream, man.
Well, what was that?
I believe, what was it? It was Rasheed Rice and Ramondre, I think. Let me check. How do I check history on the desktop of offers?
I think you're right. It was like it was a tier down from Nico to Rice, and I tier up at running back to Ramondre.
Yeah.
We go Nico, Waddle, and I tier up at running back from what running back would potentially interest you? James Conner, DeAndre Swift, Trey Benson, Eckler, Spears.
Out of those guys, given cost, I would assume that probably. How would you rank those guys in terms of your value of them?
My value of them, I would probably go Conner, Swift, Benson, Eckler. No, I'm sorry, Benson, Spears, Eckler, Bigsby.
Okay, because I would definitely be wanting Benson or Spears in that, so they're probably about the mid range for you. Okay. That's how it would be Benson or Spears for me, based on the value.
How about I give you Benson and Spears, and you send Hall in return? You get 2 running backs for 1.
I mean, that is tempting. I would counter with like Rashid Shaheed if you're potentially like interested there. Like just like that deal. Remember when I was sending you the Hall versus Jamar Chase? Like you must have misread it. It was clearly Rashid Shaheed. The fact that people like take it so serious sometimes is hilarious. Like there was one guy that commented is like, "What does Mason mean? He's gonna be behind that wide receiver? He's only drafted wide receivers."
Hey, real quick, who do you want? You got 7 seconds.
I'm cool with Ridley. I can't see the rest of the board, but we want to stay strong at wide receiver, like you would say.
The other options should probably make it back around to us in the 6th.
Perfect. Sounds good.
But
Calvin,
I'm trying.
I do have a limited view of the board as well.
What? How much can you see?
Makes sense. I mean, I can see like the first 10 names or so, whatever the stream can see.
Okay, to be honest with you, I don't scroll past the first 10 names in the middle rounds. I only take who's in the top 10 rounds. I mean, because I'm doing hundreds of drafts this year, so I'm going to balance out my exposures regardless.
I was going to say, that's how you know you got a seasoned volume drafter right there. Let's get it. Mason's grin is insane. Shout out Raphael.
How about Benson? What do you think of Nico and Benson, or Nico? Who would you rather have between Benson and Spears if they're equal value?
I view them relatively similarly. Honestly, I would just want to hear like the trade packages for both.
Nico, I think they're with choice of Benson or Spears for Waddle Stevenson.
So Nico and Benson or Spears.
Your choice between Benson and Spears. I'd be fine either guy. But you have the running backs at the beginning of the year. I need running back production for week 1.
Send it over actually. Let me take a look. So okay, so you said Collins plus Benson or Spears for Ramondre plus Waddle.
Hey, okay, I'm assuming you don't want Keenan. Are you good with Godwin here?
I'm kind of off of Godwin this year.
Mixon?
Wait, you have Mixon? Oh, I thought you were talking about the trade. Oh my God.
No.
Any of those guys, honestly. Sorry. Brian Thomas, Chris Godwin, whichever one you like. Sorry. I thought we were talking about the trade negotiations.
I panicked and queued up Mixon. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's on me. I thought you were talking about the trade. My apologies.
All good.
Yeah. Send it with.
I'll send it with Spears too.
Okay, yeah. Send it with both. I think for my build, I go Benson, but
yeah, I figured it'd make sense for you, Benson, since you didn't need the running back at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, because I have like Dowdle, I have Chase Brown for the intermediate, like you said at the beginning of the year. Where do they actually rank for me in my rankings? Let me just take a look, because they should be like back to back for me. Yeah, they're 30 and 32, but knowing the dynamic of this league and knowing that I have the early season production. You know, if you send it to me with Benson, yeah, I will. I'll accept this. You know what? Close enough for me.
Let's do it. This is the first video that's going on the channel other than the vlog.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
It's sent. Let's get this going. Let's notify them in the Discord. Ooh, get it on Twitter. Y'all just witnessed history, ladies and gentlemen. The deed has been done. Danny, how you feeling?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm obviously giving up some early season. I did take Ramondre in the 7th round, I believe. So technically speaking, from a pure value standpoint, you could argue that Ramondre, given the early season, Waddle, given that he's still going to be a really, really good productive piece. might have lost on face value, but I just fully believe on Nico Collins. I do have him ranked as an early second valuation, and people might be like, "Oh, too many mouths to feed, Texans, this and that." Like, I'm not of that belief. You guys would have watched the shorts. You guys who will watch the content, you'll know that I'm all in on Nico Collins. So for me, I do feel like I'm getting a tier up at wide receiver, even though some people may be viewing it as a lateral move there.
And hopefully I can actually win a week or two at the beginning of the year now that I have some running back production. Prayers up.
Hey, there you go.
Let's go.
Yeah, that was the main thing for me is like as much as I like Ramondre Stevenson, I know that I still have a guy like Chase Brown, still have a guy like Rico Dowdle who I can project for a good amount of touches in week 1, and I want to be strong at wide receiver through the flexes anyway, so it doesn't really impact me losing like some early season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why
I know people will be hating that in the chat though for sure.
That's why I sent you Benson instead of Spears initially because I figured Benson made sense for the deal,
for the build. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go, though. We actually got one. I mean, Zach's probably so furious in Australia right now. Wait, he's up right now.
Did you accept it? So again, I'm just trying to throw a screenshot.
I did accept.
And what was the deal you almost did with Zach?
Dude, people in the league chat are not on my fucking case here. Holy shit. Or they are on my case, sorry. They do not like my side of the deal.
Wait, the league chat or the
league
or the live chat?
The league. No, the league chat. I mean, I will take it here.
In Discord or on Sleeper?
On Sleeper. On Sleeper.
Let me see what they're saying. Oh, did Zach say something?
I'm just saying in the chat, I ruffled some feathers. People are not a fan. Interesting.
Well,
what are they saying right now? Yeah, come on stream if you guys want to roast me. Let's go. I want to hear how I quote unquote sold. Like Corey's in the thing right now. Corey, you know you can get the link anytime you want, baby girl. Come on.
I'm sorry. We go Aaron Jones here. The thing that we need to monitor real quick. In this draft, we have Barkley, Pacheco, Mixon, Jones. Old man running back room. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Higgins, Ridley, Hollywood. So we need to figure out what's going to happen at quarterback relatively soon. I'm fine punting tight end, but quarterback's tough. Same. It's like if we look at our stacking, what we should have done. Actually, no, I don't know.
Dude, the whole league is in here saying Danny's sold. What the fuck is this? Hop in the call then. I'm hearing a lot of keyboard warriors right now. Come tell me to my face that I made a mistake. I want to hear it.
I see Badaki out here. The final trade, everybody, was I sent Danny, Nico Collins, Trey Benson. He sent Jalen Waddle, Ramondre Stevenson.
What was the final trade? Yes, sir. I mean, like, do we have to make a graphic too so people can just track it?
I'll screenshot it and I'll throw it on the screen.
Yeah. For the record, chat, Nico Collins is my 14th ranked player. If you guys want to hear my thoughts on him.
And if you want to hear more thoughts, we made a video months ago, which is literally the reason I took him.
Yeah, for sure. Big time high on Nico Collins. And if you guys actually watched the street or the vlog, obviously, of course, you heard my reaction when Nico went off the board. So, yeah. I mean, I will say, Mason, from a pure value standpoint, I would agree with everyone. Like, obviously, Ramondre Stevenson, I took a couple rounds over. You took Trey Benson versus the one pick discrepancy, but that's just my view on the tier break between the receivers. And I'm also extremely high on Benson. So, for those wondering,
let's move this over. Who are you wanting here at 105?
105. I mean, I just talked up my boys, Chase Brown and Jonathan Brooks. I'd be cool with either of them. But actually, we have 4 running backs, so probably have to go with a onesie like Daniels or
what about
a wide
Sutton?
receiver.
Sutton's 15 picks after ADP. Do you think we can go with him?
Yeah, let's do it. We absolutely can go with him because you're making the pick. You know,
I would have liked Daniels. I think made sense though, even if we didn't have any Washington guys, because I'm fine taking an unstacked Daniels based off rushing.
Oh, same. And that's kind of where I'm at with him as well. Do we have any Chicago here? I want to know if Caleb Williams, assuming Daniels goes off the board, would be
We
an option
don't.
for
We
us.
could make a gross call and go like Komet later on. I don't know what you think about that.
I'm a little bit worried about Komet,
Yeah.
especially knowing that Waldron's coming in and what he was able to do with that Seattle Seahawks tight end core last year. I'm not really all that optimistic about Komet and Gerald Everett, whatever the hodgepodge ends up being.
So for anybody wanting to see the trade, this is the trade here.
Damn, people are like 50-50 here. Some people are saying I robbed you that Benson's going to be a stud. Some people are saying you robbed me because Benson's going to be ass. Like, why is Benson the reason people are liking or disliking the deal?
Everybody's got an opinion. Nobody wants to make a trade. That's how it be.
Yeah. Okay, Bush is talking shit in the chat that I mentioned around 27 times since we've been back that I put you on Nico.
real quick, who are you wanting? Chase Brown, your guy?
Oh yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, because
sign me up, baby.
Purdy doesn't make any sense here, but obviously we're done taking running backs now.
By the way, that's Badake, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we got Big CEO saying I'm bugging, and then the other person, Antonio, saying that Nico's the best player in the trade. So, like, dude, people are legitimately 50-50. So I don't know how some people are saying fleeced on one side or the other.
That's what Scott says, 50-50. Badaki says, send me something. I saw Zach in the chat as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like we got Trez saying good trade for me. Some people call me an idiot in the chat. Like, that's how you know it's a good trade because people are going to have vocal opinions one way or the other.
Well, I'm gonna tweet this out real quick.
Yes, sir. Oh, wait, Zach's on my side? Did not think you liked my side, Zach.
Hey, so what was your trade with Zach earlier?
So for reference, we actually were almost pen to paper on it. He ended up getting a little bit of cold feet, which kudos to him. It ended up working out because like literally the next day, Brandon Ayuk gets extended. But if I check the trade, Zach is actually in the chat. He can confirm it. The trade that we were on the verge of doing, let me see, because I sent it to him, was Rico Dowdle, Ramondre Stevenson, and Rashee Rice for Brandon Ayuk, Chuba Hubbard, and Brian Robinson.
I'm sorry, can you repeat
similar contract to our deal? Similar contract to our deal. So I offered him Rico Dowdle, Ramondre Stevenson, and Rashee Rice for Brian Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, and Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, I would have. So if you could have got that deal from him, I think you offered. I mean, I think I offered him a better price than that for Ayuk. That would have been a phenomenal trade for you.
He initially sent it to me, and then when I ended up agreeing on it, he got a little bit of cold feet. And he tried to like offer it back with like, I think Fab, 25 Fab or whatever. But I'm like, no, I would do it straight up. I don't want to do it with Fab. So it ended up unfortunately falling through. But I know Zach watching right now is probably not thinking unfortunately because his guy just got a $30 million per year payday. So yeah, close. I am delayed right now.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I'm sure the audio is maybe a little bit, but that's just because we're like doing it through Discord.
Augustus is saying I got played like a fiddle. Fair play.
Well, that's because in the vlog I kept on going, I'm playing them like a fiddle.
Hey, fair enough. Car Chisel, Danny, bro, you got fleece. Man, are people just completely anti Trey Benson? Like, especially in a managed league?
I don't know. Hey, real quick. What are we thinking here? Obviously, running back not in play. Receiver, we have AD, Judy, Williams, tight end, Frymus, Schultz. Any of those guys?
I would vote for AD, but I'd be perfectly fine with him or Judy here.
If you're fine with him or Judy, I'm going to prefer Judy specifically because I think in Best Ball Mania, I'd prefer AD because he's probably not going to have a ton of points in the regular season, but he gives you the spike weeks in weeks 15, 16, 17. But here in the Flock League, only one team advances through the first. So if only 1 out of 12 advance, I'm kind of always in line with just whoever's going to get me out of the...
Get you over the line. Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. I'm reading through this chat. Yeah, like every other comment is either calling me an idiot or a genius. So like I'm so confused how a trade could be this bipolar.
But we're on the clock again. I'm assuming we want 80 if you were considering in the last round.
Yeah, so we could go with AD, but I will say we do have zeros at the quarterback and tight end position. If you feel comfortable with the later round options, that's fine, or we can grab one here.
Let's
Like a
go AD
Fryermuth.
because our only quarterback option would have
Okay,
been Stafford. We have
fair
some
enough.
options here where like we can go Nix with Sutton, we can go Watson with Judy, we can go Levis with Ridley, and even if we go Frymuth here, my thought process is we're going to end up having to take 3 tight ends regardless, you know. So we're already
Yeah,
committed to
sure,
the
sure.
3-5-7-3 build, no matter what.
Little 3-5-7-3 action, baby.
Yes, sir. Let's move this over.
It's better than that 3-4-10-1. I got auto drafted the last 3 picks on going on to the airport. I gotta end up showing you that team, dude. It was the most ridiculous start you would ever see. Like it was a BBM with Lamb, Gibbs, Ayuk, and Laporta in my first 4 picks,
There's
and I got auto picked the last 3 because I was
0%
entering
chance
the plane.
there's a 0%
I
chance.
was, dude. I'm not even joking. I was so mad. I was so mad because the last 3 picks were like Marvin Mims, Andre Iosivas, and fucking Daniel Jones. When I already had 2 quarterbacks, I needed a second tight end, and I could have used one more running back on that team. Again, it oddly enough, even with a janky 3-4-10-1, it's probably a good enough team that I could see advancing and being unique, but also like they're just not useful assets to that team. Like if I just got a second tight end, I would have been much more better off than whatever wanted to auto draft me between Andre Iosivas and shit. Like, come on.
Yeah. Is that how you say his name? I've literally never said his name. I just go the Bengals receiver. I can't say his name. How do you say it?
I think it's Iosivas or Iosivas. Like if people know, let me know. But yeah,
It is Andre Iosophasis.
Iosivas. Yeah, let us know if you guys know in chat.
Somebody in chat just told me to call, like, whenever he first became relevant, someone in chat told me to call him Yoshi for whatever reason.
Yoshivas. Yeah, right. That's how you
Okay,
pronounced
Yoshivas.
it. Yoshivas. Yeah, I remember somebody actually said that. So shout out. I'm not gonna lie. I was just operating on not knowing how it was pronounced.
Well, I do that with I'm halfway convinced I didn't draft Puka Nakua last year because I didn't want to say his name out loud and be embarrassed by mispronouncing it. So,
Yeah, people are saying Yosivas in chat. Yoshivas. Zach saying Yoshivas. Yeah, I guess I am a casual, but that's what everybody was saying in the comments. No, I'm kidding. That's what everybody was saying in the comments of the Henry Jacobs short.
Real quick, who are you wanting? We're between quarterback, tight end. None of these quarterbacks stack for us, so it doesn't matter there.
I'm cool with a Hunter Hens or a Noah Fant.
Hunter Henry or Noah Fant? You said?
Yes, sir. That works for me.
You prefer Henry over Musgrave?
Yes, sir. I do. I mean, I'm personally a Tucker Kraft guy, so if I'm
Okay.
going to be attacking the Green Bay tight end position, I'd rather just do it in the last round with Kraft. Because, I mean, people are very adamant on Musgrave over Kraft, but actually at the end of the year, we did see Kraft work above Musgrave, especially in the late portion going into the playoffs. So he did miss a lot of time this preseason because of a pec injury. I believe he tore his pec at the beginning of the offseason camp. But for me, it's always been Kraft over Musgrave.
We need to make a YouTube short or a video breaking down the first trade.
Yep.
I cannot believe people are so excited about the league. That video is gonna have 100,000 views.
It's insane.
It's gonna be like more
especially
popular
knowing it was literally
here. I'm sorry, real quick. Who are
channel.
you wanting here?
Yeah. I mean, we could just grab a second tight end if we really want to be good structurally, or we can grab a quarterback. Gino. We could do Gino or we can do Noah. I mean, we could go with Noah and hope Gino falls back. Or
Let's do that. Let's go Noah, hope Gino falls.
Bet we'll do that. We will do that.
But I'm interested because I think the vlog's going to do way better than any of the other content we make on the channel, just because the other content's going to be webcam based. I legitimately just wish that you, Corey, and the land guys were not international, and we could just get an office and have y'all move to Austin.
That'd be dope.
It would just be nuts content throughout the entire year.
I'm sure we're gonna end up doing like we're gonna be doing more like throughout the off season too as well. Like if we can get something going. Like I'd be totally hyped. We still need to have that poker game. I talked a lot of smack for not being able to actually show my poker expertise over in that week.
Next year, I think next year we should do one extra day, just that way, because We were just so busy the entire week. Like there wasn't.
Oh, it was nuts.
Yeah. I think if we get one
Like
more day in, we'll probably we can do the same amount of videos, but maybe every night we can do something. You know what I mean? Rather than like having to just go from really early in the morning to late at night with videos.
Well, because obviously, like every single video almost had like every single creator, like between all channels, like we recorded 4, I believe the land and the domain guys recorded 4, you probably recorded 4 as well. Like
Yeah.
we ended up like all of us basically being included on like 20 plus, if not 25 plus pieces of content, not to mention 2 shorts and everything as well. So like it makes sense, but like also like when you contextualize it, it's like, holy shit, like we got cooking. Like hopefully everybody in the YouTube chat is appreciative of this man in the suit's work ethic over there, because holy Christ, we got some content going. Let's just say content was flowing through the blood.
We did. I can't believe how many freaking shorts we did. We did like I've uploaded like 20 something shorts over the past like week.
By the way, Trez is saying a very factual point here. Mason, you could move to Canada to be more fair.
That is true. That's only one person moving versus 2 people moving. That is
so there you go.
That is correct. All right, but quarterback, tight ends, we could take Rodgers just for the points and hoping that he helps us advance. Levis does stack with Ridley, but I think we could get Levis.
Yeah, I was going to say we have Ridley. Okay, we could go Rodgers first and then hope Levis falls back. Does anybody before us have a Titans correlation?
Well, the thing is, the team after there's going to be a team after us with Wilson, you know, and a team after us with Mike Williams.
Smart. So it's more likely that Levis falls back than Rodgers.
Well,
okay, I like
this team here just snipes us on Levis with no Titan as their 3rd quarterback. So RIP. But
I mean, this is the most Drake May team I've ever seen in my life.
Can we go Knicks first? I think that there's a way better shot May makes it back to us, especially now that how long until May starts? How long do you think it takes? You're a massive Drake May guy.
I would put the over under at week 3.5. I'm not gonna lie.
3.5.
I think if he is not starting by week 4, I would be very shocked.
Okay.
Because he looked that much better than Brissett in the preseason. It almost felt like the way Mayo was talking about the move, that he understands May is better, but also understands that their offensive line is so bad that they don't want to get him killed in the first month. That's the vibe that I got from naming Jacoby Brissett the starter. It's like he literally acknowledged that Drake's been outplaying him leading up into the week. Yeah. And then when he made the decision, he ended up going with Brissett. To me, that screams, I don't want to put him out there too early and have him get killed.
I know the Pats play the Bengals week 1, so they have absolutely no shot there. But what's the I'm going to pull up what's the rest of their early season schedule look like? There is a chance that they just want, so you go Bengals, Seahawks, Jets, Niners, Dolphins, Texans. Yeah, there's no break with the schedule. Jags, Jets. Yeah, the Pats have a tough schedule for how bad of a team they are.
Yeah. That's a funny call. They're just so urine. They play such good teams. Like they're gonna be awful.
I know. What's their win total at this year? So what I've been looking at is just the accumulation of implied team totals every single week, you know, to just see what sportsbooks are projecting out for like total points scored in offenses. I know they're supposed to be the worst scoring offense in the NFL. I haven't seen their actual win total though.
It's funny you mentioned that because literally when I do the wide receiver rankings, like one of the biggest pieces in terms of like when we break down the matchups, like using implied totals, using overall where the money is actually leaning, like we go through that in the rankings videos. So like almost every single week last year, like I was so in tune with the Vegas information because it was literally just being posted in the rankings.
So the worst teams according to Vegas: New England 4.5, Denver 5.5. Carolina 5.5, Titans 5.5, Washington 6.5, Raiders 6.5, Giants 6.5. Those are supposed to be the worst teams.
Titans over is intriguing because I think that division as a whole is pretty volatile.
Yeah, because Richardson could turn into a pumpkin. He could be very good, but could be a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And then
and we feel the most confident about the Texans, but like also
they
got hot at the end of last
year. You prefer May over Darnold?
I would go knowing the construct of this build that we have early season production with Rodgers and Nicks to be able to get a potential upside piece in the second half of the year with May.
We'll go Drake May.
Just knowing Wait, sorry.
I'm saying we're just gonna queue up some tight ends here. We'll queue up Kraft
perfect.
if you
Sounds
like
good.
Kraft. Is there anybody else?
We do have Hunter Henry on this team too, right?
Yeah, we have Hunter Henry.
Perfect. I am very happy with that.
And I have 2 more Best Ball Mania drafts I can do if you want to roll with it.
Yeah, perfect.
This is
sounds good.
Second to last Best Ball Mania draft. I'm in.
By the way, Zach, shout out. I love you too, by the way. You know I love you. You know I love you. It's all Canadian love.
Okay. Let's see.
Little Birdie told me Canadian love over California love,
Of course. This is, I think,
what happened?
We're a pick 9.
Oh, we got another pick 9.
Pick 9. Literally, Chesner's changed his name to Tresner Pick 9. I don't know how long it's been there. But
Matthew and Waffle are acknowledging it too. Shout out.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Just absolutely brutal here.
Is Underdog available in Canada? So currently, if you're in Ontario, no, but I believe in both the West as well as in Quebec. Well, I know for a fact that it is available there. So if you're in Vancouver, if you're in Alberta, will be available there. But unfortunately, if you are based in Ontario, it won't be.
God dang, I keep on getting timed out in these slow drafts. They changed it to an hour. And I keep forgetting.
When is Underdog coming to Ontario? Apparently, they were talking about potentially getting it fixed soon. So hopefully Ontario can wisen up, because I am very keen on just being able to do what Mason does here. Hop on late at night and just record a nice little draft,
I know. Well, I think it's just – and if FanDuel and DraftKings can go get to the politicians, then RIP.
Oh, yeah.
FanDuel and DraftKings got a lot of money to spend.
Crap. There's so many comments based off. Oh my God. I got the trade noties are insane right now. I go on Twitter and everybody's losing their marbles.
Yeah. That's what I was waiting for.
For me to see it.
No, I was waiting for us to have a trade in the league so I could tweet out the first trade.
People are literally, yeah. Someone saying I just dropped in the rankings. Some people are saying fleece for both ways. This is crazy.
I don't know how fleece for both ways makes any sense.
No, one person saying one, the other person saying the other way. Are people really that anti Trey Benson? I did not feel this out. I'm curious if that said Tajay Spears, what people's thoughts would have been. I mean, to be fair, maybe people prefer Waddle to Collins, but interesting. By the way, we are guaranteed one of these stud running backs here. It looks like lock in.
Yeah, I am not going to complain about pick 9 if we're going to get Bijan Robinson. No complaints from me with pick 9 here.
Yeah, we take those all day.
What I do if I have a falling value such as Bijan, I literally just go whoever's highest ranked according to ADP in round 2 to just hopefully have the most unique build,
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I was actually in the Flock League. I'm not sure if you heard me when Bijan Robinson went off the board. I have Breece higher, but they're back to back. But low key in the back of my mind, it's funny because you ended up sniping me on Collins, which we ended up rectifying today. But in the draft, I was praying that it was Bijan that was there at 6.
Oh,
so
really?
I would be able to take the Texas boy away straight from you.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, kudos to Austin. We had a very similar start structurally in terms of the anchor running back and the picks that we actually made at wide receiver. I was able to notice that in the vlog.
Okay. Are you good with Taylor and rolling the dice? Can we try it?
Yeah, we could try it. Yeah, I mean, knowing if you're anti-London, I don't mind doing that. I will say though, you know who I have as my next highest running back here.
HN. Hey, I have flipped. I'm taking my L. I moved HN ahead of Kyron.
Okay, there you go. You're sharpening up. Let's get it.
I know. Post punt return news. I'm like, okay, I'll throw in the towel here. I'll let him have it.
For sure. I am curious because I know people were a little bit concerned about Pacheco with the news of P. Ryan signing in KC. He hasn't moved at all in my rankings. I do acknowledge that this is more of an indictment on their running backs after them. Like when we're looking at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, obviously Deneric Brooks gets cut. Carson Steele, he's looked good in the preseason, but across the entire offseason, they have basically said that he's going to be their fullback. On every single team report, he was being able to make the team playing the fullback position. So people were saying, oh, he's the back to own after Isaiah Pacheco for the longest time. He was always listed as a fullback on the KC depth chart. So to me, Perine coming in, yes, that shows a little bit of an indictment in terms of the passing game because that's where Perine should shine. But I'm still drafting Pacheco extremely high, knowing that even if you're getting potentially only 40, 50 targets, you're getting touchdown equity on arguably the best offense in the league.
Yeah. I'm not panicking at all with the Perine stuff. I mean, my thing is like, any of these guys that are getting, if you can't make the Broncos roster, like, and you're scared of,
why should I be worried about you?
Yeah. Exactly. If you are scared of Samaje Perine ruining Isaiah Pacheco, you never had any business drafting Isaiah Pacheco in the first place.
Exactly.
You know?
No, exactly. So for me, obviously, it's not going to be changed because I was always high on Isaiah Pacheco. But I've heard people say, oh, yeah, Isaiah Pacheco's a big dropper in my rankings. It's like, yeah, you have no fucking conviction. Can you get it back, brother?
Yeah. It's like, I get it if like your take was, hey, I think Pacheco's not good, but this is a great offense and there's nobody else, then sure, maybe move him a spot or two. I didn't move him at all in my rankings. I did move, like I said, based off the punt return stuff. I moved Kyron one slot lower. I moved him just behind Achane. I moved him one pick because they have been back-to-back all year. But I did a super interesting live stream that people loved like 3 nights ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no way you know this guy, but do you remember back in the day when Vine was a big thing? There was these big Viners called Jack and Jack.
Well, I was going to tell you right now, I was actually in your stream yesterday. I was watching some of the draft. I was actually commenting a little bit, but you were so dialed in, I don't think you noticed. But I was watching a little bit of your stream yesterday, helping them in the ESPN draft. And
yeah,
I want to say you guys got Devon Achane in the 4th, if I remember correctly.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was so cool, and it was so nice that he let us stream that draft because it was like the perfect example of like the average fantasy football player, right? The average fantasy football player, they don't pay attention to fantasy football at all until it's like a week before the draft or maybe a couple days before the draft. And then they play it like a normal person, like probably how it's the most fun to do, you know, not just be dialed in and sicko mode 365 days a year. But it was so interesting to see where those guys were going because like Achane, he had like an ADP almost at pick 50, you know. It was nuts. We got him at the early 4th, and we like if we didn't take him, he probably could have lasted till the late 4th in a 10-team league.
It's crazy that you said that because
real quick, what wide receiver you want? What wide receiver do you want?
Wide receiver here. I mean, Rashee Rice all day, every day, especially knowing this is not a BBM, right?
This is a BBM.
Oh, okay. So never mind. We go Tank Dell.
Okay, thank God. I was gonna say with
I thought it was the same contest that you were doing earlier where you mentioned it was short field, so apologies. But
no,
I am the biggest Rashee Rice fan there will be, but you won't catch me dead drafting him in a BBM, knowing that those teams are drafting him round 7, round 8.
Yeah, your Rice pick in the Flock League was so sharp now that we got the news that he's not the NFL's not doing anything, you know? It was like and I wish I would have taken more of him this year. Like I got like 2 years ago or whenever it was, when everybody was terrified of like the Kamara suspension being 12 games or whatever, I was just drafting Kamara relentlessly at like in the 10th round saying it's a $25 buy-in, $3 million for first place. I'm just shooting for the ceiling. And I've done that like every year with these guys that people are always worried about getting suspensions with. But for whatever reason with Rashee Rice, maybe it's because I saw the pictures of it, you know? So I was like, oh, he's getting suspended. I didn't do it. Like I drafted some Rice, but not nearly as much as I should have. And now it's like so much more expensive.
I'm trying. Oh my God, Jesse Pinkman. I just think of that clip. You're like watching all the news of Rashee Rice, hearing he's not going to get suspended, and you're just like he can't keep getting away with this. Like knuckleheads are just going to knucklehead and not get punished. But if it's scoring us fantasy points, we'll let them go and be knuckleheads, right?
Are we allowed to take Pittman here or Pittman, Rice, Flowers? I think we have to go wide receiver when we go running back.
I completely agree. I'll let you make the call on the receiver. I made the call on Dell. So if you want to grab maybe a more consistent week-to-week play, which, again, isn't really a thing, but especially in terms of advance rate, I feel really confident Pittman's going to be a wide receiper too. I don't mind going that way.
Do you think
you want to go with some more
to
upside?
Have Pittman and Taylor on the same team? Like, what do you think about that? Is it better to take Pittman or worse to take Pittman if you have Taylor?
I mean, you're making a consolidated bet that the Colts are going to overperform on offense. So the way I would actually combat that is if you want to take Pittman here, if Anthony Richardson's available in the 5th round. You just take him straight up because
And
you're making the bet.
honestly, Anthony Richardson lately has been falling to the 6th in like almost every draft because of the preseason game. So if we decide to go with Pittman, we could get. I think if we don't have an option that we like, we just take Richardson in the 5th. But if there's like a great player at 57, I think we can go with a great guy and then go Richardson round 6.
But especially knowing in advance that the guy at the 12 hole does have Allen, you would really only have to fade 2 teams from taking him. And structurally, I don't think it makes sense for 11 to deviate for a quarterback, knowing that he's so far behind the 8 ball at wide receiver. Personally, even though we're technically in the same type of position, it makes more sense for us to punt on A-Rich coming back, knowing that we do have the Colts correlation.
Yeah, and then you also have at pick 11, he's going for the Kyler double stack. He has Marvin and McBride.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he'll definitely take Kyler on that. I mean, just it's funny because obviously, again, I still really like Jalen Waddle, but like we see it in the BBM rooms that people are very high on both of these guys. Like the separation here, obviously, in this room would be Nico Collins and Jalen Waddle both going top 15. So I am curious how people in the chat do view them because obviously we do make a big time trade here.
Yeah, Charlie coming out with Adono. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I'd imagine that team at I'd imagine the team at 10 taking Waddle there. At least, and of course, I'm just making this up, and I have no idea what their insight is. I would imagine it's for a unique build because Waddle never made it to the end of round 3 in Best Ball Mania. He's always been at the 2-3 turn. So if you reach on Waddle, and then honestly, kind of the same thing with Nico. I'll reach on these guys occasionally at the beginning of the second because it is like a very unique pick compared to like Drake London if you think they have a similar range of outcomes.
Well, I've actually done that a couple of times now. For the most part, assuming Jahmyr Gibbs is there at the 1-2 turn, we'll be taking Jahmyr Gibbs. But a couple of times, if I've taken a very chalky 112 player like a Marvin Harrison, a Puka Nacua, someone like that who usually goes at that turn, I've actually experimented instead of pairing them with Jahmyr Gibbs, which is going to be a very common pairing, actually mixing it up with a guy like Devon Achane, where I project Gibbs better than Achane, but in terms of spike week, in terms of offensive viability, would it at all shock me if Devon Achane did outproduce Jahmyr Gibbs? It wouldn't. So if that's the case, mixing in a unique combo over an option that I slightly prefer actually works out for me there.
Yeah, Blaine says Waddle calf injury and wearing sleeve is scary. Wouldn't risk it in redraft, but best ball is a different story.
Yeah. No, I actually did hear that report. Now he sounds good from what I've been hearing, but it is weird that it's flaring at this current point.
Yeah, I saw people trying to make a scare out of the Tyreek thumb thing too.
People make a scare about everything because that's the part of the offseason we're in.
Yeah, I am very excited for the season to get here, but I'm also very bummed that I'm not going to be able to draft anymore. It's like it's sweet that we get to watch 100%. Football, but it sucks that the drafts are over.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean on that. We've been having a ton of fun getting all these drafts in, obviously, on Underdog. Obviously, all the home leagues coming in now. Like, was I able to show you my home league team? Because I was able to build out a nice little hero running back around Jahmyr Gibbs, feeling good about the squad. But unfortunately, the best players at both the 1-2 and the 3-4 ended up being Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. So I didn't want to, but I was kind of forced by hand to take both of them at those spots. So I do have 2 Rams receivers.
Do you just want to go Anthony Richardson here and lock him up? We don't get like a great value making it to us.
Yeah. I think that's the way to play it, knowing that the wide receivers, like as much as I like Jaden Reed, like I think Roma Dunze is a very similar play, except you can get him in the next round. And I would feel comfortable just locking in the A-Rich. So
yeah,
we know we have to catch up a wide receiver, but we feel good about it.
If Pickens would have made it to us or something at 57, I would have tried to make an argument like, oh no, let's go with the falling value. And then let's see if we can get Richardson at 64. But there's no reason to even risk it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're getting the tier break at wide receiver, the last guy in that tier, yeah, I agree. And with George Pickens, we were kind of talking about it a little bit of why I think he'd be comfortable in the 4th round of the best ball. Now, he's been slipping a lot in drafts, I've noticed, like even on Sleeper as well, falling to the mid to late portion of the 5th round in some of these drafts I've been in. But he genuinely looked good when Deontay wasn't on the field last year. I understand it is a small sample size, but his average yards per route run in those contests was near 2.8 yards per route run, 40+% receiving yard market share player in those 4 games. Like I understand. Shout out Doggo. I understand the offensive projection isn't great, but knowing Brandon Ayuk is not there and he's got the opportunity to develop into an alpha one, I am perfectly fine with taking 4th, 5th round George Pickens, where if Brandon Ayuk was there for the record, I wouldn't be as intrigued about it.
Oh, for sure. And it's weird that like Pickens used to go at the early 4th. We got the Ayuk rumors. He fell to the late 4th. Ayuk signs.
Didn't rise back up.
Yeah. And now he's here in the mid 5th. So I don't have a lot of them, but if he's going in the mid 5th, I definitely wouldn't take him in like a basic redraft league there, but in an underdog draft, I for sure would.
Yeah, like let me see if I can find my ownership percentage, because I do think overall my percentage isn't high because I did a lot of my draft dispersed across the offseason. But in terms of the actual draft ADP I've gotten Pickens at, like I only have 6.8% of them, but I can guarantee of those entries I got him in, they were all at 5th round ADP rather than the 4th round ADP.
That team at 12, Eagles, always in drafts with us, typically crushing us in drafts, goes with the bully tight ends, Laporta and Kittle.
Hey, set the tone, baby. I see somebody that wants to establish the line of scrimmage.
For sure. Hey, I'm all in Laporta this year. Laporta is one of my most drafted guys, not only in underdog drafts, but I got him in the flock league as well. So I'm praying Laporta's solid.
You got him at good value in the flock league too, I will say. Like, because if he had fallen in the 4th, like I almost did, like I would have taken him over Rashid, but I like knowing back, I'm glad I grabbed Rashid, because looking at the overall complexion of the room, if I had deviated for anybody other than Rashid, he would have been gone by my next pick. I also see we are on the clock. Give me any of those top wide receivers you like.
Godwin or Keenan, who you want?
Let's give me Godwin. I don't mess with Midwest Jarvis Landry.
That's why I figured we were going Godwin. I figured you didn't want Keenan.
Let's go.
But let's go ahead.
Tight ends for huge values in the flock league. I agree. Feel good about my Kyle Pitts though, even though the TikTok and YouTube Shorts comments aren't as thrilled. Let's just say.
I haven't taken much Pitts this year, and like I said, I got crushed taking Pitts last year. So I'm just so afraid that I'm not going to take Pitts this year, and Pitts is going to blow up.
For sure. Sorry. I look at the comments and I just see Ethan using like the saddest emoji I've seen in my life. And I almost I was heartbroken reading this. He said, just finished my draft 10-team PPR. ESPN gave me a C grade. And like he puts the sad face emoji. Let's see the team though. Burrow, Love, Harrison, Nico, Waddle. I mean, that's definitely, how is that a C grade, bro? What? This is the team, he said. Burrow, Love, Harrison Jr., Nico, Waddle, Higgins, JSN, with Breece Hall, Devon Achane, and Najee Harris at running back. I mean, like, the only way you could get a C is because you have Dallas Goedert at tight end, but I mean, even still, like your quarterback, running back, receiver's nuts.
What I will say, my guys, link your team to flockfantasy.com and we can give you some real grades team by team there. And Amen. I want to pull up the grades in the flock league now after this trade. The flock league.
Oh, dude, they're gonna be ripping me.
Let's see where my team's ranked, because my team had the 3rd most value before.
Yep, I think I was mid-table before, so I'm probably a little lower now, knowing they don't like young guys.
The flock league.
By the way,
Thomas is still number 1, but it's just because he has CMC, and the way that we do the values is like the players at the top are worth exponentially more. Like CMC is worth exponentially more than Jahmyr Gibbs, which is how it actually is in fantasy football. So like if you get that top option, you just have such a good spot.
For sure. My team is like totally boom bust, I will say, like, because I am relying a lot of rookie point equity there. So I could imagine that the algo is probably not too high on me.
The worst team in the league, according to the algo, is Joe's.
Joe, no?
Yeah. Which checks out.
Yeah. Shout out Joe. Promo code Joe.
Promo code Joe.
You got to give him his own promo code just to see how many he can bring in, eh?
Well, I mean, he's the one who runs. He's the dev. He runs the promo codes. So
give himself his own promo code. Let's go.
Jonathan says,
how many people in chat will use promo code?
Here, sorry, real quick. This is just important. Jonathan says, when I link an ESPN team, it says it needs credentials. Is this because my league is private? Yes, which is why the developers built out a cookie. I mean, an extension that you can add on, and it will just immediately grab the credentials for your league. So just add the extension to your computer. You should see it on flockfantasy.com. And then it will be able to grab your ESPN stuff for you. Because it's like difficult to do it unless you're a computer guy. Like I wouldn't have been able to find my cookies. So the developers just built it out for you if you have a private league.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody commented on the post. Yeah, by the way, I've gotten like 10 followers from that post. So appreciate you guys for following the boy. But some people are saying you were just hyping up Nico. Shaking my head. One person's like Waddle is already hurt. Somebody saying fleece. Somebody saying I'm faded. Yeah, see, some people are very one way or another.
We're on the clock,
Fair enough.
my guy.
I mean, Jordan Addison is the clear pick here, right?
If you want him,
knowing
I'll
that the
take
wide
him.
receiver room.
I am not going to argue with that. I think we need a wide receiver. I would have preferred Keon, but we got sniped. So let's take Addison.
Yeah.
And honestly, my next pick, the next guy I was going to beg for you to take would have been DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't draft much Hopkins earlier, but he should be good for week 1. So now that you get him around 8, he's a much better pick than when he was going around 6.
Yeah, for sure. The ADP value there, especially. I mean, both with him and Hopkins, him and Addison, they do have some ADP value, knowing that people were drafting Addison with a lot more confidence with JJ McCarthy and before the overall, offseason concerns that he's had in the 6th round, probably 2 months ago, a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I was the guy drafting him in around 6. I was the guy drafting him around 6, screaming he was the best value in drafts.
Hey, so was I. Danny, let me get Malik. Make an offer, brother. Make an offer.
Hey, what do you think about?
I will say though,
what do you think? I will say.
News? Sorry. The Neighbors news, the number change.
Yeah.
Well, he's wide receiver 1 overall now, clearly, and that's not just because he's on Team Danny, lad. All jokes aside, though, aesthetic is nice.
Am I allowed to take Jameson?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we need numbers at wide receiver anyways. You won't. I'd be between Jameson and Ferguson here, but I'll capitulate. I'm fine with both.
Yeah, I'm just trying to play catch up after going RB.
I dig it. Yeah. Apparently, the Colorado and North Dakota State game is actually doing pretty good right now. I see. A-Rod said NDSU made a good stop. When I was watching, I mentioned it a couple times in the chat, but when I was watching, Shadur was at 12 for 15, over 250 yards, and I think 3 touchdowns, no picks. So curious what his line looks like now. But it was 2017, I believe, at half.
Where does he end up getting drafted?
Well, that's the big debate, because if he goes in the 1st round, he's going to be a clear top 5 overall rookie pick just based off the value insulation of 1st-round quarterbacks. And he does have the off-script ability to potentially be, I mean, I'm not going to say a top 10 quarterback I can see he can potentially reach. Again, it's way too early to say. I did think he had some concerns into his overall 2023 tape, but I mean, projecting forward, it's hard not to see a path for him being a high draft pick, right?
Yeah, but I agree. I think he just gets pumped up, obviously, in rookie drafts.
100%.
But in the NFL draft, do you think he goes round 1?
See, that's going to be the big projection, because he's either going to be an early day 2 pick or he's going to sneak into day 1 based off how he does this year. Because you want to see him work a little bit more in structure. We saw so many times last year him bail out, even in clean pockets. Obviously, last year the offensive line was a mess. He had to bail out for the most part, create a structure. But even in clean pockets, we saw him kind of do that too much. We kind of want to see him settle in. We kind of want to see him develop as a full in structure quarterback. Because, I mean, off script, he's one of the better quarterbacks in this entire class, right? So I am curious how he takes that next step, because, I mean, I think the guy that just gets disrespected completely is Carson Beck. I think he is very clearly at this point my quarterback 1, but this is a weaker quarterback class, to be fair.
See, well, you know infinitely more than I do with college football. So I'm like,
been grinding.
For whatever reason, I can't get into Devy. The more
I love it,
the more I'm removed, because I had a dynasty only period from 2015 through 2020, just dynasty. I was in 20 dynasty leagues every year. The only thing I thought about 24/7. But the more I get removed from that, the more I get into redraft again and best ball. And I still love dynasty, but
it takes a lot more attention.
Yeah, and I'm getting removed and not as interested in the weird formats of dynasty. The Mason of 2024 would never want to play in a point per carry league anymore. We're back in 2018. I'm a quarter point per carry. Give me all of those leagues. Let's try them out.
I would rather do it in a redraft league than I would in a dynasty league, because I don't want to be committed to a weird scoring format.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
I
thank
mean,
God
we
we went
are.
wide receiver earlier because we're just looking at
Oh, yeah.
all the running backs here.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few guys that I really like here. I honestly, whatever combo of guys you want to pair up, I'd be cool with. It does suck that Njoku goes before our pick because ideally we could have left one of these turn picks with the tight end. But I mean, whether it's Javonte, Chase Brown, Brian Robinson, whoever is the top of the board, go ahead.
I'm good with Javonte here. I know you like Chase Brown, so
Yeah.
if you wanted to go Brown, we can go Brown.
They're close enough for me where if you do prefer Javonte, I'm fine capitulating here.
Okay, let's go Javonte. And honestly, I wouldn't mind going with the Cincy running back on the way back around, whether that's Chase Brown or Zach Moss. But Zach Moss makes it around 10, like in every draft. But I think one of these guys turns out to be a great value, regardless.
Yeah, I personally lean Chase, but it almost feels like it's like in best ball rooms, like we were talking about earlier. Chase Brown is starting to go obviously above Zach Moss, and obviously Rico Dowdle now is going far ahead of Ezekiel Elliott based off of what we've been hearing recently. But in home league dynamic, like I just did a worst picks of every round video where I took the multi-site aggregate ADP and compared it to where we have them ranked. And basically when I got to round 9, it wasn't so much an anti-Zach Moss stance that I was on. It was more so, well, Chase Brown is just 2 rounds cheaper. And if I'm going to be attacking the Cincinnati Bengals running back, I already believe more in Chase Brown. So I would rather wait 2 rounds and get a guy that I have flat out ranked higher.
Oh,
for me, it's like, even though Zach Moss is a fine value in the 9th, 10th round, with the context that Chase Brown's going later, there's just no chance in a home league ADP setting I'm going to be taking Zach Moss over Chase Brown. So why would I be taking why would I be taking Zach Moss in the 9th knowing I can get Chase Brown?
Who are you wanting here? We don't have a stack.
Spears or Dowdle? Spears or Dowdle works.
I'm good with Spears. Dowdle is just so much cheaper earlier in the
ADP
offseason.
riser. Yeah. I was literally just about to mention that. I'm like, maybe we go Spears because of the ADP value.
Yeah. And
dig it.
that's one thing I think a lot about, specifically in Best Ball Mania, where the drafts are open year round. Just trying to come up with a team like in a build that is not going to be duped too much or not going to be outgunned elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Showed up a Dake. He's saying, you reached on Chase Brown in the flock league. I'm like, yeah, you dirty bastards would not have let me gotten him back in the 9th. So had to reach on my running back structurally.
That was so much fun doing the draft in person. Did you do your home league draft in person?
Oh, so basically what happened, so we drafted on the Sleeper app, but I told all the boys, I'm like, hey, like, because I have my patio in my backyard, turn the lights on. I'm like, hey, if all the boys want to come out in a live draft, but do it online, tonight, my patio, bring a drink or two. Like, I'm not going to lie, I indulged on some other activities there. Legal activities. I'm just going to point out, but I'm not going to clarify in case there's some youngins in the chat. Yeah, we had a good time though. It was outside. We're all having a good time. We're all, drafting around each other. As soon as Derrick Henry went in the second, I had to give my little remark to one of my buddies. Like, the vibes are immaculate. Every single home league, when you're met up in person, like, people don't realize it's fun, obviously, drafting online, but seeing the reactions to a devastating pick that you made before one of your buddies, nothing beats it.
I know.
Nothing beats it.
That's what was so fun about doing the flock draft. That was the first draft I've done in person in years. And I'm just so used to, I do hundreds of drafts every year just on the computer, and it was like a completely different experience. And it was so much fun doing it in person.
By far. And like, people that have not experienced an in-person draft before, there's no excuse not to. Like, I understand, even if you want to get like the whole setup, the stickers, like, that is perfectly fine too. And I think that's obviously the best way to maximize the experience. But even if you just wanted to say, everybody bring their laptops, we're meeting up in this place, we're all having some drinks, if you indulge in we'll just call it the papaya, you can feel free to do so. Like, that is like the best vibe of an environment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like, especially too, like, there was one part where I'm at the 12th pick, the guy picking at 11. So he actually took Kincaid very early at the 4-2, right? So structurally throughout my mocks, I'm like, I'm used to getting Kyle Pitts or a tight end structurally at that 5-6 turn. So I'm seeing he has Kincaid. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm going to get Pitts here, build around that team. He double taps Pitts after going Kincaid, and like, live, like, in front of all your buddies, that like throws you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that is nuts. Here, so for Tua, we don't have a stack. Goff, we don't. I know Goff, we have Jameson if you wanted Goff here. But
Yeah, I don't mind going Goff closing quarterback here, or if you want, we can go with another wide receiver structurally. I'm cool with either. We could also grab Freiermuth, knowing that he's probably like the last second target at tight end here too.
Sorry, as soon as you said you were
I
good with
felt like you're
Goff,
broken
I
record.
went ahead and I took Goff. I was
That's
chomping at the
perfectly
bit for it.
fine. No, this is the range of the drafts, like I said, where I have conviction early on. Once you're in this range, it's just about what type of structure, what type of flavor you want to stick to. Because I feel like if I just follow the same script every time, I'm just going to end up with 70%, 60% ownership percentages of some players.
Oh, one thing I wanted to point out to you too is when we were in that ESPN draft with Jack, and it was like the just real regular league. Rico Dowdle went in like the last round. Rico Dowdle went like 7 rounds after Ezekiel Elliott.
So the thing we noticed too, because with the redraft rankings manifesto, like our draft guide with us at FFC, one of the tabs that we have is our rankings versus home league aggregate ADP. So you can actually sort on our sheet if you're in ESPN, if you're in Sleeper, if in Yahoo, if you're drafting on Underdog, whatever. You can basically sort our rankings compared to that ranking. And every single time you go on ESPN or Yahoo, it's like always the same names. It's like Rico Dowdle, like Jalen Polk, like Rashee Rice. Like there's just straight names across every platform that are just severely mispriced.
Real quick, Freiermuth or Cooks?
Let's go Freiermuth. Structurally, we want to get a tight end now because if we wait till the next turn, it could get ugly for us.
Okay. What do you think about Freiermuth this year? Because I haven't taken a ton of him, but this is also an instance. I took a lot of Freiermuth last year, and I got crushed.
Yeah, I think structurally, like, again, am I going to say he profiles as a mid-range tight end one? I'd be lying to your face if I said that. But in terms of a number 2 weapon in the passing game for the Steelers and an offense that after George Pickens has real George Pickens has real opportunity for target hierarchy behind him, I think there's a very real case that he can end up being the number 2 target on his team. And even if this is a gross-looking offense, Pat Freiermuth a couple years ago showed he can play that role as the number 2 to Deontay Johnson. I very well think he can develop into that guy with George Pickens this year. George Pickens obviously going to command a lot of work on the boundary. I think there's a lot of room up the middle of the field, up the seam for Pat Freiermuth to potentially dominate in.
Well, hopefully. For the sake of this team, we need a tight end.
It dominated in the sense that he could be a consistent top 10 to 12 option. Like, again, I would be shocked if he was a top 8 tight end in points per game, but I would also be shocked if he was anything less than the tight end 14, to be honest, because it just feels like such a locked in projection for me.
I guess maybe him not going there does just guarantee him targets, because who else are they going to go to? Sure. I wasn't drafting him previously, but with the injury, now that he goes round 18 or undrafted in every single one of these, I have an embarrassing amount of dollars invested in a Roman Wilson.
I like that call. So with Roman Wilson, the thesis was never he was going to be an automatic target commander number 2 for this team, because that wasn't the profile he had at Michigan. But what you do get with Roman Wilson, especially if you build around Chiefs and you want some run backs week 17 with the Steelers, is you're getting a player that can get fantasy points on any single target, because he is the vertical slot archetype, similar to, I always love these type of guys. You know, your Tyler Lockett's, your Elijah Moore's, your Jahan Dotson's. Like, I always fall in love with the vertical slot archetype. But the thesis with Roman Wilson is that if you're hitting on him in the round 16 to 18 portion of your draft, you only really need a couple of spike weeks. And he is the archetype of receiver that can deliver spike weeks. Like, even if he was only Marvin Mims this year, like Marvin Mims had 2 usable weeks in the 2023 season. Like, I think he's going to be better than Marvin Mims, but he only really needs to pay off at a Marvin Mims rate to be able to enter your lineup 2 times in the year.
Yeah, that does make sense.
You know what I mean? Like in the last round, like how many of those guys are consistently entering your lineup on a week-to-week basis? May as well grab the guy that can hit 20 points.
Yeah. Moving this over, we're done at quarterback, right? We closed it with Goff.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We make the bet on Anthony Richardson being a top 6 guy. We have to stick to a 2 quarterback build. So I'm cool with any of the wide receivers here too.
Wide receivers are Thielen, Douglas. I'm not taking Tolbert this high.
That's perfectly fine, knowing he was a 17th rounder. Like, the theme of this video, you may as well put it in the title. It's just ADP values are what we stick to, because we are some ADP value bros.
But you are thinking wide receiver here. You want Adam Thielen?
Yeah, or DeMario Douglas. Now I will say it's the same thing with Tolbert. Obviously, the thing with Douglas, he also got the rise. You make the call. I'll let you make the call here.
We'll go Douglas. You're a Drake May guy. Let's get Demario Douglas
Let's go.
this one. And
Let's go.
Bourne is on the PP too.
Pardon?
I said Bourne is on the PP, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Going back to that, though, it's a lot more stomachable taking Douglas in that range, knowing that he's been at that ADP value for about a month versus Tolbert's more so risen to that value in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. And it is...
In terms of the combo.
I should have just listened to you
by the
back
way,
in the day with Tolbert.
I mean, I sound like a rambling Italian sometimes, but sometimes I can make a good point or two, you know?
I know. Like, you saved me with Collins. The Tolbert call should have saved me if I would have listened to it.
Like I said, the fantasy Nostradamus as I make a trade that every single person is against. I don't know. Does that make you a little bit more concerned that I've just been right on all these calls that like Benson's just going to be like an RB1 by week 4?
To be honest, I didn't even really want Ayuk whenever I was spamming Zach trades. I just wanted to be able to officially make the first trade and have something to talk about in the league. You know what I mean? I was just trying to be the first person to make a deal. and I got that done. Sorry, we just wanted to follow it up with Adam Thielen here.
Yeah, I'm perfectly cool with that.
Let's go with it. So honestly,
we went
RBRB, I think we've kind of caught up because right now we're sitting with Bijan, Taylor, Javonte Spears. Wide receiver, we have Dell, Pittman, Godwin, Addison, Jameson, Douglas, Thielen. Quarterback, we have Goff with Jameson. We have Richardson with Pittman and Taylor. And then tight end, we have Freiermuth. I think it's a decent little squad for it to be an RBRB build.
Sure. Yeah, we're feeling good about this. The question I do have for you is, in this build in particular, are you keeping it at 4 running backs or are you adding a 5th?
Oh, I'm definitely adding a 5th.
Adding a 5th. So what would be the threshold? Because obviously if you start RBRB, like what would be the threshold? Would you need like a Ramondre Stevenson rather than like a Tajay Spears here, for example? But like what would be your cutoff to stopping at 4? Because I've been struggling with that with my own drafts. I'm like, where do I draft the 4 running back teams versus where do I cut off and add a 5th? Like I've been trying to gauge that this year.
This year, I really haven't been doing any 4RB builds. I have really never done any 4RB builds because my thing is I understand it won first best ball mania, but if you go way back then, the reason it won is when you got to the middle rounds, it was priced as if it was a redraft league and all the wide receivers were values. And here in these,
I was looking back to it's remarkable when you look back at the old ADPs. Sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
Oh, all good. It's hard to do this over the computer, but yeah, the thing is like now I'm in these drafts and almost at every pick, I'd rather have a running back than a receiver. You know, it's like, oh, you need a wide receiver. You need the wide receiver points, but they're steamed up so much now that I don't think you get any extra value going with like the 10th receiver versus your 5th running back, especially on a build like this. Maybe if you go RB, then another running back in round 6. So you go like Bijan, Taylor, Kyron, and then Ramondre, I can buy into it.
But so basically you would need like a hyper fragile build at the top with like 3 running backs in the first 4 picks to even consider like stopping at 4, which makes sense because like you said, there's almost every single point in the draft where you're like, well, I would rather the running backs over the wide receivers in these rooms. And that's another reason why I've been experimenting a lot more with trying to build around Brees, trying to build around a running back at the inverse on Underdog in home league specifically. I was talking about in home league specifically. That's why I've been drafting the anchor running backs at the top, knowing that structurally I want to be grabbing the wide receivers in the mid round. Sorry, 100%. I mix those up. That is the big difference between Underdog and my home leagues. Home leagues, let me reframe the argument. Home leagues, I would rather grab an anchor up top. Underdog, I'd rather grab the wide receiver up top, knowing that there's going to be running back values I like throughout. Yeah, I got that out. It is a long night. Apologies, boys.
All good. What I've been saying is you want to make your early round picks based off where the middle round values are. So the middle round values are at wide receiver. You don't need to take wide receivers in the first 2 rounds of your redraft league if you're in home league. Real quick, who are you wanting? Are you good with Bucky Irving, Hunter Henry, Gibson, Marshawn Lloyd?
I honestly don't mind Henry, knowing that honestly I just like Hunter Henry or Ben Sinnott, but Hunter Henry's good.
Let's take him.
Knowing it's probably going to be a 3 tight end build here. Maybe even Sinnott falls back to us, but we got some stability with him and Freiermuth. Feel good about that.
If we get a single player falling back that I have my eyes on, I definitely want to go with them in round 16. Definitely not going to say anything, though, because people in this draft with us are watching this.
Yeah,
So try not
that's
to get
perfectly
sniped
fine.
here.
Perfectly fine.
But I think
By the
Henry
way, it
makes
took me
sense
like
to just get some tight end points.
yeah. No, I do like Hunter Henry. I actually think I believe he's still my highest roster tight end on Underdog just because I've been drafting so much Patriot stock. So him, Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk, I just have like a crap ton of shares of because I love just stacking them late with Drake May.
Yeah. The big Q, Quentin Johnston, off the board. You're lucky I didn't make you go Quentin Johnston in this draft. He wasn't the guy I was looking at round 16, but we call him the
based
big
off
Q
that
here.
tweet. I'm curious if okay, no, I half expected Bush to fucking be in my messages talking about the trade.
Has he messaged you at all for it?
No, he's not. I actually am surprised. Oh, Zach did send me a trade. We can look at this live now. I actually haven't been on my phone, so now I can take a look here. See what Zach sent. You guys will be the first hearing it along with my own eyes.
Well, let's see it.
So we got an offer of, oh, come on, Zach. So I would be getting Brandon Ayuk and Chris Godwin, and he wants Rashee Rice and Malik Neighbors. We'll let that process for you, and then I will be hitting the decline button. Sorry, Zach.
I think Zach's going to be a difficult person to trade with.
Yeah, it's been a little bit difficult. I will say, Zachy Poo. I love you though.
Would you rather have Neighbors or Ayuk straight up?
He literally asked me yesterday, and I said, you know what? It's close enough for me where I don't want to take on the risk of both Ayuk and Rice. Because the offer yesterday was, I think, Neighbors plus like 25 fab or Neighbors plus Jalen Wright straight up for Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
And I basically said, I'm like, I already have Rashee Rice. If I'm going to be trading for Brandon Ayuk, I would want to be doing so with Rashee Rice because I don't want both of those wide receivers with risk going into the year, knowing that there's a last place punishment, to be honest.
Am I allowed to take Bucky Irving here?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Just finish it off.
Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to? It's your team, and it's 24 picks past ADP. Let's go. We're talking ADP value. You'd be kind of a fraud if you didn't.
Just making sure. Who I actually wanted Marshawn Lloyd. I don't have a lot of Lloyd, but now that AJ Dillon is done, Marshawn Lloyd, in my mind, becomes very appealing.
Oh, for sure. No, I've been drafting a good amount of Marshawn Lloyd in these drafts too. Like him, like I have for the record, I was just drafting whoever at each value between him and Jacobs. Do still feel great about the amount of Jacobs I got in the 5th round of these drafts. Sure. Like, I feel like is he still going in the 5th? Because I haven't checked my slows.
He's going at the end of the 4th right now. He's risen a tiny bit, not as much as because he used to go in the mid 5th too. It wasn't just at the 4-5 turn.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, every time I got to the 5th and I started with wide receivers and I wanted to grab an anchor running back, between him and James Cook, like I have a complete boatload of. James Cook is so intriguing to me because if we knew going into the year he would be getting the red zone potential goal line usage of even Jahmyr Gibbs, what's stopping him from going where Jahmyr Gibbs is going in drafts? That's the only hang up on his profile is red zone work.
Yeah, I mean,
like great offense, great quarterback, efficient receiver out of the backfield, a guy who went from 91 carries to 237 in his second year. Like he's going in the 5th round.
Yeah.
Like, it's bonkers. Like I have like 25% James Cook.
And I don't have a ton of these guys just because my preferred build this year is elite tight end, and I'm just slamming the tight ends in round 5. So like I'll check how much James Cook I have. I don't think I'm definitely not like 20% or anything.
Like let me check. I want to say in the first 88 recorded here, I have like 23%. I have 22.7% James Cook, and I've also taken him in what's felt like half of my drafts in this lows right now. Like anytime he's there in the 5th, I almost feel obligated to make the pick.
I have 10% James Cook exactly. But here, real quick, Matthew says, do you think Russ or Fields is more rostered in Best Ball Mania? I think Fields is. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say Fields is, especially with the potential hype in the offseason. We saw a little bit of time where people were potentially saying Fields would be, the starting quarterback. Like I've seen more often than not Fields be the one going in round 15, 16 versus Russ even getting drafted. Like I've seen people draft Fields in the top 15 rounds.
Yeah. Here, so we're done at running back. We're done at quarterback. We are just one more receiver, one more tight end here.
Real quick, Raphael says Cook over Kyron. I would still have Kyron ranked a little bit higher, but Cook is well within that range. Like I have Cook ranked as a top 12 running back for the record. Like I would take him over Henry straight up, but that's a topic for another day because I feel like people would be going to the comment section and trying to rip me on that.
All right, what are we doing here?
What's our build? 2572. We said it would be a 3 tight end build. I mean, yeah, let's go Dolchich this time. Fuck it. We went with Kraft last time. Let's go Dolchich.
Okay. Well, this pick at 201, I queued up Corley. I was just afraid we were going to auto a quarterback or a running back.
Yeah, that's honestly fine too, knowing that like it's probably a safe bet, knowing because these tight end projections are pretty similar, and we might even be able to get Dolchich back. I don't mind that.
We for sure will get Greg Dolchich at 218.
Let's go. Everybody's saying, "Oh shoot, happy birthday, A-Rod! Let's go, baby. Let's go." How does everybody know it's his birthday?
Happy birthday, A-Rod.
Happy birthday, brother.
Guy says, A-Rod, happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday, brother.
The good fellow says, A-Rod, your birthday today. Happy birthday, man.
Let's go. I mean, speaking of birthday, so Corey's birthday is actually going to be in a few days. And I mean, he told you in Texas, but basically every single time it's his birthday, he drops his top sleepers video. And at the beginning of the video, basically mentions how like to say happy birthday for the YouTube algorithm. And it's been a tradition for us because our first year making content, he put out that sleepers video on his birthday, and we basically got like 80% of their subscribers in that year off of that video.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was the top sleepers 2020. Yeah, so we were at like I think 300 subscribers going into that video. That video just erupted on a 300 subscriber channel, and I want to say by the end of September, we were at like 1,800 subscribers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. So now it's just a tradition around here.
Well, my guy, I think I am probably going to call the night here in terms of a live stream. I'm trying to think content-wise if we could make something for the trade real quick for the channel and send it to Thomas tonight. Would you be down to record a 5-minute thing?
Okay, 5 minutes. Let's do it. Call of Duty can wait, you know?
You know, what do you think would be interesting for like the content with the trade? Do you think... Because for the channel, I definitely think we should make it more like reality TV than fantasy football advice, because that's what like all our channels are already. So
yeah, so this is going to go like we're gonna make this into a short on the block league channel.
Yeah, like I think we do a full blown video, just like a video.
I think that's perfect. Yeah, I think. Not to mention, I could use another video, knowing the first one did so well too.
Do you think we ask everybody in the league to submit like a little clip of what they think of the trade? Let's do that then. Instead of recording it together, let's record it separately, and I'm going to ping everybody and ask them to if they can get something out today, or I mean not today but tomorrow, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then we can send it over to Thomas.